Hello, everybody. This is Lewis Lee from Planet Traffic. We are live in the bus studio in the Yo. We got a special guest, Mr. Terry Wilson, Coverman 66. We got Tyler from, where you from?
Long shot.
Long Shot Performance, kicking it with us. What's up, guys?
How you go? How's it going, fellas? Good to see you all in a remote location.
Yeah, we're in the bus studio.
Yep, the Yo. The Yo
All
bus.
right.
I'm going to get headphones, so I can't hear. I'll be back.
That could help, yeah.
We're working out some technical difficulties here.
You know, that's what life is about these days, just working out technical difficulties. We all do that.
He need his keys.
Yeah. Oh man.
So what's up, Ray? What's up, Ryan? What's going on?
Just work. Trying to figure out how you're gonna make a living.
Not me.
Ray's like, I'm done.
I made my living. Now I got to lie in it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's any fun.
It is. Trust me.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, we're, our biggest employer here in this area is the government.
Right.
So with the threat of shutdown, everybody's all freaked out. Nobody's spending any money. Nobody's doing. I mean, literally, you would have thought today was a holiday because there's like nobody on the road.
Really?
Yeah, it's just absolutely amazing. People freak out. They can't spend any money. They can't do anything. I'll never get paid again, or it's going to take forever to get paid. Blah blah blah. And they put the world on hold around here.
Well, wait a minute. The congressmen, the senators, the upper class, they all get paid while it's shut down.
Yep.
You mean the workers, the regular workers don't?
A regular government employee does not get paid.
How do you like that?
Until they reach their thing or they get, and then they get a back pay. But during the shutdown or non-work, they are not getting paid. So people freak out, and of course, this is what they say. I don't want to get into self-help here or whatever, but this is why you're supposed to have emergency fund. Don't roll your eyes, Terry. I see you sitting back there.
I'm not rolling my eyes. I'm feeling pretty sympathetic, man. I mean,
yeah. So you're supposed to have a backup. You're supposed to have emergency savings. You're supposed to live within our means. Blah blah blah. I don't want to sound like Dad. We all made mistakes, but hey. But going along the line, so what? That my brake pads are grinding into my rotors. I'll fix it when I get money. So just keep driving the car like that. So my shops are dead, and everybody's freaked out.
Wow. But that happened fast. I mean, geez.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, if they ever get their crap together up there and do whatever they're going to do. But, they come down to the last moment. They pass it. They add 6, 7, 8 weeks to it, and we're right back in the same story again.
I don't really track it to see. I know because we've had government shutdowns, and they've threatened it before. They always threaten it. And then, so I don't have any stats. Tyler, I would trust that you would probably know more about that than anybody. Do you have any idea, like, how often, like, what the percentages are for the shutdown and the actual shutdown, and then how long they last? Because you seem to be pretty plugged in with that stuff.
The big thing is it's pretty much all mostly a smokescreen, because if you watch what gets shut down, the first thing is always like state parks, state services, stuff like that. And then it's trickled down from there. Stuff that doesn't get shut off is all the government spending and all that stuff. So like any money slated to go to Ukraine, that's still going to go to the Ukraine. So it's almost always a threatening tool, a bargaining chip to get people to freak out. And that's the biggest thing. I can't remember it's only actually shut down like 3 or 4 times, as far as I know. I'd have to.
I just found out the last shutdown was 35 days. Just came in on my line. So
Yeah.
I mean,
It actually happens more than what it really. I mean, it happens a lot, but it's usually only a couple days. And like Tyler said, they start out and well, you can't go to the parks, you can't do this, you can't do that, and then it does trickle down. But in general, though, like my competition, my Snap-on guy. I talked to his wife today because she was out on the route with the Snap-on guy, and she does what are those VA mortgages and first time,
yeah.
And she said that she got an email yesterday saying, "Hey, the shutdown's coming. We are not doing this, or that, and these are the steps." And so, there is a procedure or how where you start out. The low guy gets kicked to the side first and it works up. Now if you're military or spy of some sort, secret agent, they don't cut. I mean, we don't have stuff like that here, but I'm just saying in general, if
like I said, the senators, the congressmen, the
oh yeah, well,
officials
they're
get paid.
higher up. They got to make sure that they can make it to work and continue on their good activities.
And meanwhile, those are the guys that caused it.
Yeah, fight the good fight. Let's do a little triumph. Fight the good fight. We are being recorded, so
yeah,
we love everything.
Yeah, I don't want the man showing up in my bus.
Yeah, we're gonna we'll have an episode of Live PD. They're right down the street from you, aren't they? So
they're always in Ohio. Like
all
those shows, they're always in Ohio
and Pennsylvania. When we last weekend, it was my young niece's birthday, and we were up there, and we were coming home. And I told the wife, I said, we should just go on down the road and get in. Maybe we can make a scene in Live PD, because they're down there in Pennsylvania too, not too far from my daughter. I don't know which county that is, but it wasn't too
Terry
far.
said in Broward County, they're always there too.
Back in the old days, the original show. What was the original one? Not Live PD, but
Cops, right?
No, not Cops. The one that before Live PD, it was.
I mean, Cops has been around since I was a kid.
Yeah, well, Cops. Cops was the longest running. That was 34 or 36 years.
He was the host of Cops, and his son got kidnapped. What was that guy? You know what I'm talking about? He was the original host of Cops.
John.
Wow.
Can't remember what his name
was.
Was.
And they found his body and stuff.
John Walsh. Yeah, thanks, Jim. John Walsh.
Yeah, and he lost. That was it. He was just start catching everyone.
He has a new show out. It's something Bounty. He has one out now. I've just seen it.
But before Live PD, whatever it was, they were down here in Southern Maryland, and Maryland asked them to leave because there was too many drunk drivers on that show. That's all it's down there driving around. So every episode was some dude crashing into something. So and then they actually screwed up because they had a shooting and somebody died. Somebody was shot and killed, and they went in there and was filming it, and they announced it, and they never told the person that was down at the bar watching it and saw that his family member was shot, and it had a big legal thing because he wasn't notified publicly. It was notified that way instead of in person or whatever. So those are those moments in time that you get to watch, right? They're interesting.
So when I went to get my headphones, I missed what you were saying about your shops. They're closing down?
No, they're not closing down. They're just really slow. I mean, people just aren't bringing the car in, because they don't have the money to spend. So it was fairly the last couple. Well, this week has been way off. I mean, and like I said, we just come. Tomorrow's the day. Is the shutdown is Friday.
Right.
So everybody's. But today, when I normally it takes me about 40 minutes to get downtown Silver Spring, and downtown Silver Spring is on the DC line or by the DC line. I mean, it's 20 minutes from DC. It usually takes me about 45 minutes to get down there with the traffic. I was down there in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's what it's like living in Youngstown.
Yeah. So
So
usually
you
huh?
So you feel all the stuff coming ahead of time than everybody else, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, like the sub shop that I went into today for lunch. That guy's standing around there picking his nose because there's no customers. Nobody, like I said, literally spending money down right when this happens stops. It's very, very little. It's amazing how this guy, the Honda dealership had 25 appointments today because they're booked like a week or a week and a half ahead of time, and they had 2 people show up out of the 25.
Wow.
So, and the guy, the service manager that I was talking to, he said he's lucky. He said, "Well, it's 3:00 now." He goes, "I'm pretty sure I won't see anybody else out of the 25 we had scheduled. We only had 2 show up." So,
Well,
So the official day is tomorrow. They're gonna shut it down.
yeah, tomorrow. So, like I said, they hold everybody hostage about that, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
that's right. So Ray,
is Terry being held hostage?
What's that?
Yeah. Send help.
Link slowly rescue.
Help me. That's right. He's got to hold up the newspaper with today's date.
Or he's still alive.
Don't worry, he's still alive.
Now we had pizza. We had pizza for lunch today, or dinner. Ray, you gotta help me out.
What's up?
They're ganging up on me saying that that what kind of pizza was it again?
We had a Briar Hill pizza. It's a local pizza. They call Briar Hill.
Crust this thick.
Oh, they give you a chainsaw with that?
They crust that.
Give you a chainsaw or Ginsu knife?
No, it was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty good.
Well, you know what? We know that I'm biased, so let me put it this way. Brian, what has your brother told you about pizza in comparison to where you live or anywhere else in the world?
Well, I mean, the few times there's no comparison. He said up there.
That's what they say.
Yeah. And like I said, even like I stop off at one place, it's supposed to be New York, and I think it's pretty close. I mean, there are times, like you say, Ray, when you can grab that big old slab and crack, and it'll crack, not
right.
It still bends, but it snaps.
Right.
I mean, I know that doesn't sound right, but it comes down, like I said, they're in a rush. You get like maybe half of it, and then it's kind of soggy or flimsy towards the end,
Yeah,
Yeah.
It needed another 30 seconds or something, or 15 seconds or something. I guess
it's really all subject to personal taste. I mean, I happen to like thin crust pizza that cracks.
Yeah.
And all the grease drips off. That's how I like it. I mean, a lot of people like the thin crust and the what is it, the is
Deep
Detroit,
dish.
the deep dish. I mean, that's a whole different thing. That's a real pie, you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I like a nice thin Brooklyn pizza, or Queens there's some really good places in Queens too.
Well, when I come up, Ray, you'll have to take me on the 50-cent tour, and we'll have to stop by a few places.
I'm gonna bring you to Amore Pizza in Whitestone.
So
There you go. I'll meet you guys there. I'll make sure.
You got it.
but thin. I usually like thin, but every once in a while I get the craving for a deep dish or.
Yeah, like I said, it's all it's just taste. It's just preference. You know,
But
and what you like on it and whatnot. You know.
It's like a Chicago hot dog. They put pickles in a hot dog.
Yeah.
You know what? I tell you what, I put relish on a hot dog, so I could go for pickles on a hot dog. I mean,
that's fine, but it's like a sour dill pickle spear.
That's
on
a
the
little
hot dog.
different. Yeah. I like a sweet relish. Yeah.
But it was delicious. It was
Here on the cooking show.
Yeah,
we're
well,
talking about food tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, now you're gonna make me hungry.
It's
so.
totally. I know. It's not even. We didn't even break the
We didn't even break 21 minutes at 21 minutes in, and we're talking about food. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you should see what Tyler got on Smoker out there. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Full pork.
What's
What's going
good
on?
looking?
It's going down.
A pork
He's
shoulder.
got three big slabs of pulled pork sitting there. Well, they're not pulled yet.
Ooh, nice.
They're not pulled yet. That boy is good.
I'm making 30 pounds of pork shoulder.
Wow, 30 pounds.
And you guys get to watch us eat it. I'll bring some home for you, Fred.
Terry's gonna be coming home a little heavier.
Oh, no doubt. Because he's talking about the next night we have steak night.
Oh, jeez. Are you gonna get any work done?
I hope so.
So I guess you work on the CUDA, right?
Yeah, we're gonna work on the CUDA. We got what's it called? We gotta, like what I want to do is I want to bring some of the pieces back that I could sell.
Okay.
Like I have AMD sent us a whole bunch of parts, and the parts that I'm gonna take off, I think I can get like $67 for a fender, an old fender.
Terry, let me make a proposition to you.
Go for it.
I have some e-body parts that I really, really want to sell. So
Okay.
if you find a connection or a buyer, I'll cut you in on the profit.
I tell you what, you just hook me up with the pizza. You buy the pizza and we'll go to Whitestone. How's that?
Oh, that's no problem. I take care of you. Man. Let's go out to dinner. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna, like I said, I got a lot of CUDA parts. Joe Zobler gave us a lot of parts, and for 73,
Right.
like the bottom balances are different, and AMD gave me a whole bunch of parts that I'm going to use because the 70, I'm converting to a 70. So like the tail lights, I'm not going to use. So I'm sure someone would want some tail lights. The bottom balance, the back balance is in pretty good shape. Some of the fenders, one fender is pretty rough, but I mean, some people like that originality and they want to bang it out. That's fine.
Well, is that a balance with the exhaust cutouts?
That's what I got. The one that's on the car doesn't have the exhaust cutout.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you this. With my own car, my Pontiac, they just restored. I used a lot of the original parts and reconditioned them just so I didn't have to have aftermarket stuff on the car. Like light housings, and I did buy new taillights because they were kind of bad. But a lot of stuff I kept, even if it wasn't perfect, because I know it's original. That's just me. I mean, another guy that would look probably 20 or 30% better, but that's not what I was after.
No. Yeah, because I got new fenders and all that, and I got to take those off because the 70, 71 fenders are different from the 72 to 74 fenders, as far as just the marker light. Well, the marker light.
Oh, marker. Okay. I'll send you a list of the stuff I got.
Yeah, send it, man. Like I said, I can, because I'm putting a lot of stuff online because I got too much stuff to the point where I need to get rid of some stuff. I mean, coilover shocks and all this stuff. I got to get rid of some of the stuff.
I got big stuff that's like, like doors and a rear end and a K-frame. It's like not stuff.
Listen, what you doing with a CUDA? Where'd you get a CUDA from?
No, I had a Challenger. I had a Challenger convertible.
Okay. All right.
So it's E-body. It's CUDA and Challenger are the E-bodies.
Yeah. Okay.
So the rear would fit in. Actually, the rear I have is out of a CUDA. It's a.
I'm sorry. Say again. What?
It's a 323 short grip out of a CUDA.
Ooh. Okay.
But I mean, they're going for like $1,000. I hear. I don't know. Mine's going for nothing. It's sitting next to my garage. It's going for a ride in the great wild.
Yeah. That's a pretty nice piece, man. You should definitely get rid of that.
I got a bunch. Yeah, I don't have the car, so I have stuff that I desperately need to get rid of. So,
Stay here.
all right, cool.
Lou's got some heat up in here.
Yeah, a little
Nice.
bit.
I was just getting ready to ask because here it just fell to 60, and I figured you guys were all huddled up together to try to stay warm.
It's really not that bad. It's not that cold up here. What's temperature?
59 outside.
59. Yeah. A lot.
Okay.
We're at 64 outside here.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are tough guys.
Yeah, we're in a school bus. This bus is looking nice. This thing it doesn't no justice to see it on video. This is nice. He's got his bathroom over here. He's got a shower in the middle where he's gonna go this way. We got a bed.
I'm surprised because there's no echo. It must be pretty good. Must have some
He's
sound
got that
editing
spray
up.
foam all over the place.
Oh, so did you go get more, Lewis, or did you still have to finish the front?
Yeah, I still have to finish.
Blah blah blah. What?
You still have to finish the front.
Oh, you still have to finish the front. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the blah blah.
So this side is cold. That side is warm.
Oh, no wonder Terry's happy and smiling.
Yeah, Terry's doing good. We're
I got the food in the refrigerator, even though there is none. We got those Oreos.
Those are at the shop.
That shop.
Yeah.
When I grew up, I'm putting food in the refrigerator.
Yeah, when you grow up,
When you can afford it.
Yeah, right.
you had to wait till after the shutdown.
You guys see my my spice rack? Terry, move your camera a little bit.
Oh, hold on a sec. The spice rack.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on a sec. Yeah, check this out.
Wow, that's a lot of spices.
Oh, sweet. You picked
Yeah,
one.
so-
Yeah, look at that.
You notice how it closed real slow?
Yeah, I got a pry bar rack on my truck that does that.
Yeah,
Same thing, same rack actually.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be sleeping with the dog tonight.
Oh,
He's gonna have a bad night, boy, because my dog likes to lick you and climb on you. And
yeah.
My
Terry
saving
might
grace
come-
is that I sleep with the covers over my head, so I'm good.
Yeah, Terry might come back a different person.
yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, like Lewis.
Yep. Or he comes back when the next full moon, he starts howling. Can't explain.
Yeah. My dog's gonna call me traitor.
Yeah,
Right, I know.
The dog's gonna be like, you traitor.
Yeah, I go to a shop tomorrow and they got a yellow lab, and he loves when I walk in and follows me around the shop and the whole 9 yards. And by the time I get home, Miss Lucy isn't too happy. She knows I've been with another dog.
You've been out cheating.
Rubbing up with it.
You scoundrel.
Yeah, she gives a little sniff and looks, and she's black lab pit mix, and so she's got that one eye that kind of goes off to the side and looks at you kind of funny. So she don't like that.
What's up, Paul?
How is everybody tonight?
Quite good. Good.
Trying to stay out of trouble.
Sounds like it's pretty chilly up north. I'll just give you a quick update. I believe it's 82 right now. I'm supposed to drop down to 69.
Oh,
Nice.
show off.
Disgusting.
He's still wearing a long sleeve shirt.
I know.
Well, my wife has it freezing in here.
With an AC on, that's what it is.
Yeah, she's got the AC going. Oh,
Yeah, I'm not ready for this cold weather. I'll tell you that.
Nah, I'm not looking forward to it.
So Terry, what was the bushing that you were trying to move in and out on your little video there?
The rear end bushing.
Yeah, that was the carrier bushing on the A bike out of 12 volt.
Let's see.
I didn't
Oh,
use
no.
the fancy tool on mine.
Nah, I used to just either heat and just bang the casing out, but I had this fancy tool. I was like, let's try this thing. Oh, this thing works really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it's smooth, isn't it?
When it's smooth, like I was like, oh well, let's try it out the side. Like you got to bring the other one in. So I was like, turn the camera on.
I've caught myself a couple times doing stuff with a hammer or something crazy, and I'm like, wait a minute, I got a tool.
Yeah. So, Hotchkiss gave me a tool. Check that out. It's the civilized way.
It is civilized.
My man, it's easy.
It's easy, man. My father always said, nothing's hard when you got the right equipment. Well, hold on. Nothing's hard if you know how to do it. And like tools make you gotta get the right tool for the right job, man. But now I took a sledgehammer and banged it out. Yeah, those days are over. I got the tool.
Well, the funny part is when you go back into a shop and you see a guy and say, well, I sold you a tool to make that job easier. Oh, you did? And they didn't even realize they had the tool, and they're over there beating and banging on stuff. So it's pretty bad when you remember where they put it too. So
You put it in the third drawer.
And then
yeah.
that should be a legal beatdown.
well, I understand that because especially during the move, I found tools in my toolbox I didn't know I owned. There's stuff in my toolbox that it's I mean, you needed it in that time period, but it's useless tool now, specialty tool for lining up a timing belt on a Ford Escort engine or something.
Oh yeah. I got a whole bunch of that, so I know it. Every once in a while, you walk through and you open the drawers and look and say, "Wow, I have one of those." So.
What's amazing is it's a tool I still use occasionally. Is my set of Noid lights.
Oh yeah, yep.
A Noid light. Noid light's awesome.
I use the Noid lights.
You need one. No.
And some early 80s or mid 80s GM ECM EQ1 technology shit was all coming up, and I'm just looking at them like it's basic calculator. It's input and output, and that's all it does. It really doesn't run anything. It's amazing just the simple technology that they had, and then you think back, wow, that's 40 years ago.
Yep.
Hey Jim, what shirt you got on?
Just playing in traffic.
Looks good, man. That's a nice shirt.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Sure.
I wish I had one.
It's a bootleg.
The prototype.
Probably the only one he ever
Did
sold.
you get it? Yeah, on the website. That's where that fine oil came from.
That's what.
Gotta call the wife. Little boy wants to go to bed.
Well, you know what, Lewis? Since you say that,
And
and speaking of shirts, where is it?
the one on the handle. Don't talk to strangers. They might rob you. What'd you say, Ray?
I'm just trying to find the setting here. I was just going to try and show you. Where the hell is it? Why don't I? Oh, yeah. Talking about shirts. The shirt that I'm wearing tonight. I got it special because somebody near and dear to all of us used to wear this exact shirt. And I always wanted one, and finally found it. Check it out.
Yep.
Johnny always wore this shirt.
Yep. Yep. That's what I thought when I saw it. I was like, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and then
I was like, I've seen that before.
I asked him once where he got it. He goes, I don't know. My wife, somebody got it for me. It's it's the year I was born. I'm like, yeah, I got that. Copy that. So this year, I told my wife, I said, you know what? John always wore this shirt. And I always wanted one. She found it. So
Wow.
makes me feel good just wearing it.
So
Yeah,
so
but-
now if you start getting a little uptight, we know that John's coming through on you. I mean,
Channeling John, yeah.
John's coming through, and we just
Right. Right,
get,
right.
where's that control button to stop the mics, just in case. I mean, you know.
Yeah. Well, look, we already went through talking about the government and pizza, and nothing bad happened. So
Yeah, we're still,
we're probably safe.
or probably maybe, I don't know. The night's not over yet.
I know.
Hold on. What's this about pizza? Let's talk about pizza again.
We were talking about New York.
So- Yeah, Terry came here, and I'm telling him that our pizza is better than New York. So I bought pizza tonight, and Ray says that no way.
All right.
New York
So
better.
And it was like,
when you say New York, you're saying thin crust or Sicilian square pizza?
Thin
I said
crust.
I prefer a thin crust, but a good Sicilian is very good also.
Okay, but see, people refer to it. It's a real game of semantics here with New York pizza because there's like 5 or 10 different kinds of New York pizza. So, what is it that you're actually saying is New York pizza, and what is different about the Ohio pizza? What is the good Ohio pizza?
Well,
Well, our pizza is a little thicker. It's like our regular pizza here is like the thick crust of
a pan
Pizza
pizza.
Hut?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like deep pan pizza. Yeah.
yeah. So that's like our normal pizza. Same topping. Now we have they call it Briar Hill, and it's an area that the mobsters lived in, Briar Hill, and they don't put any cheese on it. It's just sauce, peppers, and shaky cheese. Let's go mozzarella.
Mozzarella.
Parmesan.
that's kind of like a margarita pie.
Oh, that's what they call it there.
Yeah, similar. Margarita pizza is a little bit different.
You got to have fresh basil on a margarita pizza.
I gotta correct
Yeah,
you.
correct. There's no
I-
basil on a Briar Hill.
I gotta correct you on something. There was never anything as the mob, so you can't say the mob. That was proven by Ann Coulter. There is no mob.
You're right. You're right. The Italian upper class guys.
Okay.
They're better.
Well, we are. I would have never imagined how politically correct our show's getting. We must be really improving over here.
I'll show you something. This is the way. This is the way that we make lasagna here.
Is this a Ray 25-pounder?
Not that big. This one only came in around 10.
10. Look at that.
You know why? They started making the pans not as deep, so I couldn't make a third layer.
So
Dude, it's 10 pounds.
Yeah, I made them.
did that say Hungry Jack or Stouffer's on it before you tore away the cardboard?
Yeah, I can
that's Ray's
guarantee you.
making.
I can guarantee you that's not what it said. Because
Do you put meat in yours?
oh, dude, come on, listen. You're talking to an Italian here. You know, if I gotta get medieval on you, I'll show you. Here we go. Here's the makings. All right. So over
right.
here we have ricotta, we got basil, we have garlic, salt and pepper. This over here is all cut up mozzarella. This over here is meatballs and sausage that have already been chopped up, and this is the meatballs and the sausage simmering in the sauce, which simmers all day. That's just the makings of what was going into that lasagna.
That's too clean. You should see after I do mine.
Well, I I'm kind of a clean cook. I clean it's like when I work on a car. I clean in between steps. So like, if you take the bearing out of the car, I clean the wrenches and put them away, and then I go grab.
My wife was
Cookie?
happy. My wife was happy because I had spaghetti tonight, and she said it wasn't too bad.
It wasn't
When
too
she
bad.
had to clean up, she's like, "Wow, I was worried when you said you were going to have spaghetti because I figured I'd still be in the kitchen cleaning after you."
Right.
So
Looks good.
your ground beef and sausage red sauce that simmers for a couple days,
Or just a day.
just a day. Do you sell that by the quart, and will you ship to Texas?
Yeah, right. Here, I found another one for you here. He was one when they were making the pans a little bigger. As you can see, it's overflowing, but there's a 13-pound lasagna, and
Ugh.
it's already rising over. And I took the edge of that aluminum and straightened it up. So, yeah, they stopped making the pans that big. So
We'll have to make our own pan for that.
yeah, I thought about it. Maybe graft them two together.
Do you need me to get a sheet of aluminum and go over to the hammer and just start beating you out a lasagna pan?
Yeah, we need an 8-inch a pan there, right?
Right. Actually, I need I got to measure. I'm gonna say I probably need 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably need like a 5 or a 6-inch side, is what it is.
Well,
To get
we got to do these as true individual strips. So it's one lasagna noodle strip pan, say 4 feet long.
Wow! Holy smokes! How you gonna put that in the oven?
But now I need a new oven.
You use one of those Sicilian pizza ovens that you slide it out of,
That
and
would
you
do it.
sell these things as 4-foot lasagna subs.
That would do it. Yeah,
Wow,
that's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
I mean, isn't that how Pat's Steak started? Selling cheesesteaks in middle of Philadelphia.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Wow.
yeah.
Make some good meatball heroes with that thing, man.
I tell you one thing. Now, I miss having a lasagna sub at about 3 a.m.
This lasagna is so
Oh, wait. Terry was outside the bus for a minute.
Oh,
Ray made a 1,200-pound lasagna.
1,200 pounds,
Yeah, it's pretty close. It was 10 pounds.
10 pounds. I like lasagna. But see, I know people like lasagna differently. A lot of people I'm not a fan of, let me see if I got it right, ricotta cheese.
Well, that was close.
Not
Regatta.
ricotta.
Don't
Regatta.
make me channel John. That was close. That was close.
Yeah. That was close. How do you say it, Bray?
I say ricotta cheese. We say it like with
Okay.
a G, even though there's a C.
Regatta.
Okay.
Ricotta.
Ricotta.
Ricotta is how you would say it if you saw the word, but we don't say it with C's. We say it with a G. And
Like
it's got a
Gabagool.
G-U in the middle, not a G-O. You got to learn the dialect.
Regatta.
Regatta.
You said
Regatta.
No, regatta is something that they do out in the water with ships and sails.
That's gondola.
Ricotta cheese.
Just like what's that pastrami, not pastrami, what is it? Salami supersada?
Supersada. Yeah, you may be talking about gabagool.
Gabagool,
Gabagool.
that's it. Gabagool, yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Hey, I think you guys should be good fans like Jim and order a shirt. But look at him, man. He's represented.
He's looking good. Look.
yeah, I know. That's it. That's the new poster boy.
Yeah,
Put him on the cover.
We're talking
the
about
shirts are
that.
designed to accentuate your masculine physique.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate
I don't
it.
know. I got Mr. Longshot on.
Oh, represent.
So do I. But he had to take off.
Yeah, take off, so you got to take your shirt off.
He had to take off. Why?
Checking
Where
the
did he go?
fork.
You got to stay warm.
He's spoiled meat, so he's got to check on it.
Oh,
I
that's
need
right,
So
Joe.
he's got those three
to
big torch
put
holders out
some
there.
meat on my bones.
Yeah,
Hey, Tyler can cook, man.
Tyler's no joke.
He's cooking real meat.
Yes, no. He's no joke. Last time I was here, we got down.
Yeah, he made some nice steaks.
Now, living in the middle of nowhere, you can't really go find any good place to eat. not without driving, 100 miles.
Yeah, you got to be able to sustain your own. Cook for yourself, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
You
There,
gotta get some
so,
Texas barbecue rub.
Mm.
That's the name of the company, Texas Barbecue Rub.
Well,
Man,
and I'll tell you this, Paul. There's a place called Michael's of Brooklyn, and they sell. I've been to this place. It's an alleged that group of people that don't exist hangout, and or had been at least, but it's still there on Avenue R, and they sell their jarred sauce and they mail it. It's in supermarkets and they'll mail it out, and it is absolutely phenomenal. I think they say they make like, I don't know, 100, 200 gallons a day just to sell. This stuff is phenomenal. So Michael's of Brooklyn, you can look them up.
what's really funny, it's not funny, but I find it hard to believe, I just haven't found the right location apparently, is in the Mid-Atlantic, I really liked having a sliced pit beef sandwich. You can get a sliced pit beef sandwich virtually anywhere. You can't get one around here.
What's pit beef? I'm not familiar with that term.
It's just roast. It's just a
Just
rump
a
roast.
roast, and they
Oh, okay.
slice it.
Okay, all right. Well, we do that. We'll make like there's the thing, like a pot roast and a roast beef could be the same cut. Depends how you cook it,
Right.
And you want to I like it like that, like a pot roast where it's real grainy and it pulls apart like a corned beef almost. That
Like-
makes for
Like
good
take a chunk of steamship round and smoke it, slow roast it, and then slice it.
Okay, yeah, that's got to be good.
You don't find that around here.
Okay, I guess you got to do it yourself. Yeah. Well, listen, I don't live in Mexico, but we just had enchiladas the other night. So
Just-
why don't we make it?
The
That
enchilada.
I can find. I can find a lot of ethnic food, a lot of Latin food, a lot of traditional Southwestern meals, a lot of beans.
Yeah.
That's not me. I want meat and potatoes.
Okay. Yeah. I would think Texas, yeah, like beef country. That's beef country of the world, man. Cattle, steer. We think that
And grits.
Did you say grits?
I said grits.
Because Terry, that happens to be one of my other all-time favorites, and my niece sends them to me from South Carolina.
I was going to
Yes.
say grits is more of a Southern Appalachian thing.
It is, but you know what? Y'all guys put gravy and shrimp in it, and it's good.
Well, you could do it a lot of different ways. I get them from South
you know-
Carolina, and here we go. See, these
There
are
you go.
brown South Carolina grits, and you can see how much butter is in there already, right? I mean, there's got to be about a half a pound of butter in there. Plus,
Oh, this is
Wait,
know?
now
I love me some grits.
Yeah.
we're talking about grits, and he has a picture of it right there.
The butter plus brown sugar and cinnamon.
That's very good. I found what I like to do is after the grits are done and I put them in my bowl, then I put some pure maple syrup on them.
No, that's
Yes, that'll work. That'll work too.
Because I like to.
You don't want to have it like that. What you got to do, this is what you got to do, fellas. Check it. Get yourself some grits, almost like that butter right there. You don't need that much. Put a little butter, right? The bacon, chop it up, put some bacon bits in it, make it real bacon. And then you get that sausage, right? You slice it up and put it in there. Yeah, that's what I'm talking
See,
about.
I'm all about the grits, and I'll make like 3 or 4 eggs and have the eggs on top of the grits instead of the
There you go, something like that. But you talk about putting sugar and honey.
maple syrup. Yeah,
Whoa,
I got a sweet tooth.
Yes, brown
sugar
sugar,
addict.
brown sugar, cinnamon,
Yeah,
Ah,
that's
Have you
good
had it
stuff.
with cheese?
butter, brown sugar, and cinnamon.
I could go for that because it's like I said, I'm a sugar addict. What about you, Justin? How's your you got a preference?
A preference on grits? I
How
don't
many grits
remember.
have you seen in Michigan? The whole
Not-
gritty world lives south of you.
Right. Yeah. South. I just
And if
haven't-
you really want a treat, you can take like if you had fried chicken the night before, right? Make like a nice little gravy out of that. Right there, gravy sauce.
Chicken gravy, yeah. Yeah.
I'm on board with all that.
Cheese,
What's
Cheese
that,
grit-
Lou?
Yeah.
cheese grits.
Then you got to make biscuits if you're going to have the gravy.
Yeah. No.
Not a bad idea.
You know, it's endless what you could do with grits. Like when I was in Texas, that's the first time I had shrimp and grits. I was like, I'll be damned. This is really good. Oh, they had like some type of red sauce or pink sauce.
I don't know. I haven't seen that one yet. All I see is catfish.
I've sampled a lot of different types
And
of grits.
any
No one that can
shrimp
go
I
with grits.
cold. I don't eat shrimp cold. I want my shrimp steamed shrimp, spicy steamed shrimp.
Yeah, we agree with yes. I agree with you. I don't want a cold shrimp. The cocktail.
Well, see, I'll disagree because I go to the diner. I'll get myself a shrimp salad wrap.
Well, that's different. That
Okay.
shrimp salad is different.
Okay.
Shrimp salad with some bacon.
It's cold, it's cold.
Yeah, so's egg salad. Egg
Right.
salad, chicken salad, tomato salad. It's all the same name for
Yeah,
mayonnaise.
because warm egg salad sucks. It really does. Warm egg salad.
We had that shrimp cocktail that cleared outside. Yeah. Yeah, we went out to we were in with PRI, which is famous restaurant, and they gave us a shrimp salad. No, it was cocktail. When I tell you this stuff will blast a hole in your nose because it was just I think they had so much horseradish in it.
Ah,
It was like, oh my
Well.
God. I mean, it was like eating the horseradish and wasabi like to the third degree.
all right. I'll tell you this. My wife now makes the horseradish from the recipe that her mother made, and she always runs it by me for the degrees of heat. And the last time she made it, I left it at level 1, which was like DEFCON 4. And
Wow.
I give some to my chiropractor. I mean, you eat it, you put it in your mouth, and it's like you count 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, and then your sinuses do this. It just blow out.
If you have a cold, it's great.
Well, I just had it today because I make a sandwich with cold cuts. I'll put mayo on one side and I put that horseradish on the other.
People there were just having their nostrils flaring up. It was
funny.
I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, it was so intense. You thought your head was gonna blow off, and then it would go away. You're like, wow, that was really good.
And you do it again.
And you take another bite.
You do it again. There's one.
This was down in Indy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
What restaurant was that? That was
one of the famous steakhouses, like
Yeah.
3 in the country.
Okay.
yeah. We had $100 steak, and I was so disappointed. Thailand makes a better steak for a fraction. We all had $100 steak, and
I had the $50 chicken.
we had a $50 chicken. I was like, let me see what a $100 steak tastes like. I never had one before. Man, I was disappointed twice because we had another one. Didn't we have another one?
Yeah.
At SEMA, at that restaurant that the one inside the Circus would be like the best steakhouse, one of the top steakhouses. Disappointment. Terrible.
Just ain't right.
Again. We'd rather give Tyler the money and he barbecues.
So Terry, you've never
I had
been-
a $5 steak at SEMA.
Oh boy.
I imagine that'd be just as bad.
Actually, my $5 steak was pretty good. It was
I would be willing to try it.
It was at
Actually-
some little place right on the edge of the strip, right at the end of the strip. I could walk to it again. I could point it out to again, but I couldn't tell you the name of it.
Actually, we
Listen,
were
they
food
gotta-
shopping the other day, and I pointed in the frozen section. My wife said, "Hey, Steakums." I said, "We used to have those all the time. They used to be good. Should we get
I
some?"
still love
Nah,
Steakums.
it not gonna be the same.
Steak comes.
They got a steakhouse on Fremont Street that's real cheap. I think the whole dinner is like $12.
Oh wow.
Early bird.
Yeah, it's early on Fremont.
Ray, you gonna ask me a question?
Yeah, I was gonna say you've never been to Peter Luger's or Ruth's Chris out here.
I always wanted to go to Peter Luger's. I've never been to Peter Luger's. I
Okay,
always
'cause
wanted to go.
that's where you get a good $100 steak.
Yeah, you
I
didn't. You've
would-
never
I
been
would
to
go-
Ruth's?
Just
Yeah,
because I
but-
like the sauce.
And you got to bring cash only. They don't take credit cards.
I'll go to the ATM before going.
Yeah, they probably have one in the lot.
Oh, my battery's running low.
How much is the chicken?
I don't think they have chicken.
Yeah, I don't think they do. It's all steak.
Unplugged in.
You sound like my daughter. You go to a steakhouse and she orders chicken tenders. So I mean,
We had a meeting last night at the radio station. It was a staff meeting, and they had this place called PDQ as a sponsor. I don't know if they're outside of New York. What the hell? I should know what it stands for too. But I tell you, man, they supplied the chicken, tons of chicken, really, really good, very tender and moist, and just very, very good. Yeah, that's nice to know.
PDQ used to be like a chocolate milk drink. You remember back in the day? You said
Yeah, there was
PDQ?
something like that, right?
Yeah, PDQ. I don't know if that was regional.
I don't think it was PDQ. It was something. I know what you're saying. It was something like that.
Yeah. They had vanilla, they had strawberry, they had all that shit.
That was Nestle's Quick.
Oh, let's take a look. See. PDQ. I remember it. It was
Nestle
right
Quick.
next to the.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think,
that was true. That was true.
I think Terry's right. There was a PDQ also.
PDQ.
There was
and you had
Nestle Quick, and
the
there was
Yahoo.
PDQ also.
Yoo-hoo, you mean?
Yoo-hoo, that's right, Yahoo.
I tell you, I just bought chocolate milk. I didn't buy my chocolate milk from Stu Leonard's. It's a small place with phenomenal chocolate milk.
That's funny.
So I got to tell you guys something that's going on out here that's kind of wild. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. I just got another car inspected this week, and the guy who runs the shop was telling me New York State came out with these new inspection stickers. It's cheap paper. There's a new printer. It can be used as an inside the window, or it can be used on a trailer or a motorcycle. Has adhesive on either side. And he was saying that one of his customers came back because they got a ticket. What do you got there, Cherry?
PDQ.
DQ, son of a beat. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of his customers came back because they got a ticket for having. They didn't say how it was worded. I'd love to see the ticket, but it was like they thought she had a fake inspection sticker on her car, and it's a New York State. It's the new stickers they're rolling out. So somewhere, someone in some precinct didn't get the memo, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it to see what the hell. So I busted out my New York State traffic law book. This thing is like, 9,000 pages of fine print, but they don't really cover it here. I was trying to look up what kind of infractions you could get, and it's all obvious stuff like defaced or missing, or I'd like to see how that ticket was written,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Well, again, it's the right hand doesn't talk to the left hand, and the left hand doesn't talk to the right hand,
Right.
and because
I think the right hand was getting shut down this week, and the left hand had to be out working.
probably so. So, and they'll probably get a whole rash of them. It'll probably be kind of funny. They'll all go to court, and they'll be like 27 of those court cases in there, and by the third one, the judge is going to say, "What the hell's going on here?"
Right. They'll be dismissed, no doubt. Because it's
We had years and years ago. There was a stop sign that was in the state of Maryland. The stop sign could be something like no more than 6 inches from the curb. Well, this stop sign was 14 inches in, so you really didn't see it until you were up on it and everybody ran. Well, there was this one cop that sat there, and all he did was write tickets for this running a stop sign.
Oh, wow.
And of course, unfortunately, I got one, and I said, "This isn't right." So of course, I get
It's
the
because
little
you
man.
didn't see it?
Yeah, you never saw it because it was
Okay.
14. It was like 14 inches off the road. I mean, it was way back, and by the time if you were looking for it, you'd roll through and say there's a stop sign, because it's supposed to be 6 inches from the curb.
Okay.
Instead, it was 1.5 feet back in this guy's yard.
Okay.
And of course, unfortunately, I'm like Ray there. I get the book out and I go up there and I get the survey equipment out and I'm measuring and taking all kinds of stuff. And on top of that, the day that I'm there doing it, the cop is there still writing tickets on it.
Uh-huh.
And I said something to him about this law or this, setup. And, he just gave me the, hey kid, go hit the bricks. And
you were talking about his mama.
Yeah. Well, so next thing you know, we're in court and the first guy gets up there and they talk about the stop sign and they go through, and then the second guy's me, and I go up there, and of course I'm Perry Mason. I've got everything laid out, show the judge, and I said, oh, and by the way, Judge, I said I have a real problem because he knows it's not even right, and he's still writing tickets. And man, this guy was pissed, and the judge looked and said, who here has the stop sign infraction on the corner of such and such? And half the courtroom raised their hand. They said, you're dismissed.
Oh, baby.
So
he I
for about 6 months, I had a target on my back with this guy.
You got to go a different way, right?
So.
Wow. Did he ever nail you again?
Oh, yeah. We had a few runs.
Montgomery County.
Yeah.
How did I know?
How did you know?
Yeah.
There was at least 6, probably closer to 20, but I'm going to go with every bit of 6 Montgomery County officers out of Silver Spring precinct that knew me by name.
Oh, yeah. They all knew me.
I drove, the habits I had, where to sit and wait for me.
Yep. I had one that used to wait every night when I came home, and he'd get me. It was a game. But the funny part was, about 2 years later, I was working at this gas station, and that officer came in with a flat tire. And the guy, the owner, the owner knew the cop, and he's like, Brian, go out and change, put the spare on, whatever. And then the funny part is I walked out there and the look on his face, and I was like, hey, what's up? You got a flat tire, huh? And he goes, pop the trunk. And he goes, he went back in and told the owner, I don't want him working on my car.
I can do a little bit better than that story because you know where Seven Locks Garage is.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I worked for it when I was 18 to about just shy of 21. So I worked there a little over 2 years. And I got pulled over coming out of DC into Maryland. And the officer and I had some words and he let me go. And about 2 weeks later, I came out of DC into Maryland, right there, 16th Street, downtown Silver Spring, and laid into it. And he came and lit me up behind me and wrote me a ticket, went over the car hard. I mean, like, wrote me 15 or 20 different items on the inspection infractions.
Bumper height, flasher rate. Yeah.
Everything he could get me for, he got me for. Right down to wipers. He's like, no matter what, it needs wipers. Don't. That's how it was. Well, he came in to have the lights fixed on his patrol car. Well, I wasn't working out on the floor. I was right inside the second door at the parts counter. I was the one who was retrieving parts off the shelves and handing it to the technicians. And every so often, the officers would come in. And he's the one who came in for the light bulbs. I thought it was funny.
Yep. He Seven Locks Garage was a police garage. That's reason, you know. And
Yes.
so here he is. They pull him over, and of course they go in to get the car fixed, and there's Paul standing there. So
I was going to say gave him burned out bulbs or something, or I don't know. Like
he
bulbs.
but the Seven Locks Garage, yeah, that's yeah, that's, I tell you, man, that look on that guy's face when he had that flat tire was, and he remembered who I was. It was about 2 years later. Yeah, it was back then it was fun. Today you came and look. They'll take you out in a heartbeat now. Man, it looks good. The three, what are those, 10 pounds each?
What?
Oh,
I already sent the picture of what he's barbecuing tonight.
yeah, the picture.
Oh, nice.
He's smoking them up.
Wow.
I'm surprised he doesn't have a apple cider bath in there. So
Well, fellas, it's been a long, long day for me, so I'm gonna call it a night.
Hey, man.
Take care, Paul.
All right, well, have a good night.
Next week.
See ya.
Yeah, I'm getting high signs from the wife, so I got to get out of here also.
All right, Jim.
Okay.
Thank you for the shirt.
You guys.
Hey,
Yeah.
you're welcome. I only put this shirt on because the shirt I was wearing had a stain on it because I was doing maintenance on the garage. I might not know what shirt to wear tonight.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Nice to see you.
that's good.
Take care, guys.
You
All
too.
right, take it easy.
So
Yeah,
I was
okay.
waiting to hear that we had Kenny Wessel wrenching with Kenny on the show on Sunday. Brian and I hosted him, and he did a little video on it today saying how he had a good time. He was driving back and forth. So it's funny. His video. He got home and he lent his buddy his minivan to move some stuff, and then the guy says, "Hey, dude, your truck's making some noises, like no brakes." He says he goes through brakes on this thing in like 15,000 miles, and he has since it's been new, front brakes.
Wow.
He says no matter what brakes he puts in it, they're gone in 15,000 miles. And he says he admittedly said he drives hard, and stops maybe a little late or whatever. But I mean, I have brakes last me 30,000, 40,000 miles, so. I don't really understand that, but
Maybe a rotor problem or caliper.
well, he said it. He's used different rotors and pads, and they no matter what they are. So he says, I don't even buy good pads anymore. I just buy cheap pads. I mean, the pads he's buying don't even come with the guide.
The hardware.
Yeah, no hardware. And he's doing rotors and pads every 15,000. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
we're
my
next week.
my F-350. My first set of pads was 8,000 miles,
Wow.
and I was like, man, this is crazy. So I threw on a set of. I was going to take it back to the dealer, but just because of the way things were, so I stopped. Got a set of pads, took it off, and luckily. Actually, it was kind of funny because as soon as I started scraping on the front, just like how his does, it's on the outside
That's what I said.
pad.
The outside, pad. Yeah.
pad. Started scraping, so I had one of those pinch-off tools in the pickup truck.
Okay, this is the story I wanted to hear. Yeah.
So I pinched off the brake caliper. I mean the hose, so I didn't destroy the rotor. Drove the truck home, went up, got a set of pads at Napa. And bought a decent pair, you know how they have different grades. Put it on, 10,000 miles, wiped out. Same thing, pads was wiped out, and I was like, man, this is bullshit. So took it up to the dealer, dropped it off. They gave me this whole runaround, aftermarket pads, this whole 9 yards, and I said, okay, well. do the brakes. So they do the brakes, and of course I bitched, and they gave me a deal. Of course, I took the original ones up, and I said these went out at 8. I said 8,000. I'm at 17,000 miles or 16.5 or whatever it is. I have another set. I said I didn't even go 10,000 miles, and so under the kindness of their hearts, they did it under warranty. Put a set of pads on. So 10,000 miles, set of the pads were wiped out.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, something's going on here. So I took it apart. Same thing like Kenny was showing on his. The sliders worked, the bolt, the sliders, you can move the caliper. I mean, the whole 9 yards, just like he said. I couldn't figure it out. And I was like, I said, man, there's no way. I don't understand. So I drive the truck, and I knew I was coming up on pads again. This time I kept the eye out. Sure enough, I needed pads. So I went into my Ford dealership, and the guy was one of the techs was working, and I said, hey, on my F-350, and he goes, oh yeah, he goes, are you using factory pads? And I said, oh, don't start that crap with me. He goes, oh, no. He said, the factory ones are worse than the aftermarket ones.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, really? He goes, yeah, what you got to do is you got to take a little bit of the metal off on the sides here.
To let them slide easier.
And what happens is when it gets to there's a heat cycle part. When it heats up, it sticks.
Uh-huh.
He said when it's cold, it'll slide in the slide in the caliper and everything. He says, but when you get to a certain amount of heat, these things expands and heats up. He goes, you don't have to take a lot off. He says, we usually just get where we take the paint off and clean that up and put.
It's interesting because Kenny mentioned that when he was putting the pads in, he said, you see, the pad moves. And I've had some pads that I couldn't get into the carrier.
Yeah.
That are like, what, I forget how to do this?
Well, the funny part was the second part of that is where that clip goes into the brake caliper.
Yeah.
You got to take that out and actually get a scraper and scrape that metal out. Because he says when that heats up, that all expands enough and it will hang up the brakes, and it doesn't take long. It'll be, and it can only be, a certain part of the drive. It's not all the time. Once it frees up, then it moves around, but that's why it's prematurely sticking, wearing down. And then after that, I just take a metal file and I clean that off. I don't take a lot off. And I put the grease on it, and I got 30,000 out of them the next time.
Excellent. Good to know. You know what? I'll pass that on to Kenny.
But it's just
I'm hoping he'll come on next week, and you can tell him.
Yeah, because like I said, I would have never thought, because it drove me crazy. Because like I said, the pistons moved easy. They slide on the caliper. And then even the pad slid in the rail.
Yeah.
And the guy said, oh, yeah. He said that they get to a certain temperature. And for that, however long that is, they'll hang up. And you got to understand, it's every time when you drive the car. So you'll get to a point where it will stick. And actually, I noticed that even in my tool truck, this one, my old one never did it. But this one, there's parts of the day where I could smell the brake pads.
Really?
So I know that they're sticking. I mean, same thing. And I have a feeling it's sticking here because, like I said, I can go out there and slide the caliper back and forth, right? Yeah,
unlike you guys, I've always found that factory pads lasted longer for me, at least on the cars. And the same thing. I was never one to put the same tires back on the car that it came with. I'd put on whatever tires I wanted to put on. Always a good brand, but and every time I did that, my Mazda was the first car I noticed that on. I changed. It came with Goodyear RSAs, And the RSA is an expensive tire. So the first time I had to put tires on, I went to a Falcon tire because
Uh-huh.
I used them on my Fiat. And I like them. I do like them, but I used them successively. I said, you know what? They just weren't as grippy or as nice as those RSAs. So my wife on the cruise, it had Firestone. I forget what the designation. It doesn't matter, but Firestone tires. And when she needed 2 tires, I bought 2 more of the same tire. I think it was an F700 or something. And the car felt exactly the same. So
Yeah.
kind of something to be said for what the engineers do, or I mean, I know we always bitch about engineers, and Uncle Tony DeFeo just had a video about really railing on the engineers and how he feels it was those were the guys that killed mechanics being able to work on cars. Some regards, he's right because you can't get in, but I have to disagree with him because the engineers don't have the final call. The engineers have to work within the parameters of the guys above them, what they tell them to do.
Right.
And they have to make it happen. They don't have to necessarily like it or want to do it, but
Right.
they have to do what they're told.
Well, that's
He's found
funny.
it somewhere.
When this set of tires that I put on the tool truck on the front, I put these what were they called? I can't remember what I had before. The name will come to me in a minute, but I put these they're called Hercules or something like that. And
Isn't that the Harbor Freight brand?
no, not with this price. But these tires, I mean, everybody was saying how the sidewall. I mean, like I said, the sidewalls. I mean, usually most of my problems always the sidewall. A lot of it's the sidewall.
Really?
Well, I'm scraping up curbs or cutting corner in the pothole. I mean, it's just
some curb feelers.
Yeah, that's I actually
That's
that
an
would be
idea.
pretty cool. But
Yeah. They work too.
Yeah.
So I got
Then you get
I
that.
got these Hercules.
Then you get the
and
radiator grill off of rolls.
I put
Big lights.
those Hercules on, and man, that truck drives so. I mean, the steering feels funny, and
Not in a good way.
yeah, I mean, it's like the way it turns, and I'm like, I don't know if I can really deal with this, but at $375 or $400 a pop, I guess I got to run it through.
Justin,
Might
what do
be
you
good,
have
but-
on the Superfly ride?
Hancooks, I think.
Hankook's
yeah.
actually a damn good tire.
Or the local guy, the Ford dealer we get tires from through our shop there, he recommended that to me. Something decent, not too crazy.
Many years ago in the 80s, I had a 79 Monte Carlo, and my buddy was at a tire shop. And I said, "What do you got?" I said, "I need 4 tires, but I don't have a hell of a lot of money. What do you got?" He goes, "Well, I got these Hancooks." I'm like, "Hankook? I never heard of them." And he told me they were an offshoot of one of the major brands. I don't remember which one. But they were a Goodyear dealer.
Yeah.
So it could have been Goodyear, but it was definitely an offshoot of a major brand. And I tell you, I put them on that car. It rode great. They were quiet and smooth. I liked them a lot. So
I like them so far.
yeah.
That was like having those. What were those things called? The Eagle GTs. What were those things?
Oh, Eagle GT, Eagle STs. Yeah. My Monte
Man, I
Carlo.
tell you, I had those that came on the Mustang, the GT.
Yeah.
And man, that car sat for 6 weeks. Boy, that was like rolling on on a brick, man.
Yeah,
Those
flat
tires
spotted.
were hard as rock, man.
They flat spotted.
Yeah, they were squared tires.
Yeah.
That was actually, it was funny. Back in the day, when the 964s came out, that was a 911 basically. This was like 89. I guess it was about 89, 90. And so this guy came in for an oil change, and might have been a little earlier, 89. Might have been first year. I don't know. Going along the line. Guy comes in for an oil change. I get the car in, do the oil change, get all done, and put it outside. underneath the tarmac, and I'm sitting there, and I get the next car, and I'm working, and I look out, and I could see through the door, the shop door. The guy's still standing out there, and he's like looking, at the wheels, and he's walking around, and of course, it was part of Core, those guys, driving the car, and of course our lifts were above ground, and of course you had to be careful or you ding up a wheel, but I'm like, oh, this guy, what's going on? So I go out there. I was like, is everything all right? And he's like, I don't know. I said, well, what do you mean you don't know? What's wrong? He said, you changed my tires. And I said, I changed your tires? He goes, my car didn't come with these tires. And I said, yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. The car came with those tires. And he's like, I don't know. So I said, well, I'm pretty sure you just came in for oil change. We didn't check, we didn't change your tires. So about 20 minutes later, I'm working. The owner comes down. Petey comes down and says, hey, Brian, this guy's saying that you took his tires. And I'm like, I don't know what this guy's problem. I said, why? Why does he think I took his tires? Well, he said that he had Pirellis on his car, and now they're BF Goodrich's, TAs. And I said, yeah, that's what goes on in the Carrera Force. Pirellis are not on. They had tread separation problems. They couldn't hold up to the 4-wheel drive or the all-wheel drive. And she goes, really? And I said, yeah. So I go over and grab my little book, my little spec book, and showed him that it came with the TAs. So he's going round and round. He's arguing this to no end. He wants a set of Pirellis put on his car because that's what his car came with. So, of course, this was before cell phone. Everybody had cell phones and all that stuff. So the guy's wife calls the dealership because this is several hours later and calls and says, what's going on? And he tells her the story. And I've had 2 or 3 trips into the office and showing, even the information book that they came with the TAs. I mean, they came with the BF Goodrich's. They did not come with Pirellis. And of course, this whole thing was, it's a German car. It had to come with Pirellis. I said, no, the Pirellis did not hold up. They had tread separation problems. Round and round and round and round and round. So, well, he had spent $1 million on hand-painted emblem covers on his hubcap. On his wheels. The center caps were hand painted, and of course, when he picked the car up new, he took a picture of that, and in that picture showed the BF Goodrich TAs. So his wife came up to show him the picture, and he just looked at it and said, "Oh, I'm really okay. Sorry. See you next oil change." And I just wanted to just knock him in the next week because my whole day was dealing with this yo-yo.
I thought you were going to say he was looking at the wrong car or something.
No, but I tell you, man, it was just, he was like, well, it should have been a Pirelli on it because it's a German car,
Right.
But it was kind of funny.
Well, I remember I told you the story last week how I locked my keys in the trunk of my car.
Yeah.
Well, I fixed that problem. I put in a power trunk release.
Yeah.
But the problem was the mechanism was thicker because there's a solenoid built into it. So the slot on the trunk lid that it slides in, they give you a template that you tape over it. And I had to use a grinder and die grind it bigger.
Wow.
And it was, of course, it's painted, but look, it's inside the trunk. And I did that yesterday. I got it to fit. I ran the wire up to the front, and then I was done for the day. So today I just had to finish running the wire up, put the button in the glove box, run a power wire. So the power wire, they said to find a battery hot fused connection in the fuse box. Well, I had a hot connection, but it's a spade terminal. So I don't think that's fused. So I just made I took an inline fuse holder, put a spade on it. I took a guess. I said, well, I guess the 7.5 amp fuse will be okay. I may go down to a 5. I'll see if I can run a 5. And then ran it over into the glove box. And I tested the latch. I knew it worked. The funny thing was, yesterday when I put it in the deck lid, I put the key in and I couldn't get it to unlock manually. I said, oh, don't tell me that the cost of having a powered release is now you can't do it manually.
Man, yeah.
And I thought, well, maybe the solenoid has to have power on it for some reason. I'll find out. So today, I had everything done. I had the switch just kind of hanging out of the glove box before I finally buttoned it up. And I had the trunk open. I didn't close it. I had it open, and I clicked the latch. I went up. I pushed the button, and nothing happened.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, okay, what went wrong? It's the simplest circuit. Power from the fuse box into the switch, out of the switch to the latch. From the latch, there's a ground to the deck lid. I know my car is grounded well, so. And I tried it 4 times because why wouldn't you push it 4 times, right? And I'm like, and then it hit me. I put the spade connector on the fuse holder, and I didn't plug it into the fuse box. That was the last thing I was supposed to do, so I didn't have a hot circuit, right? Plug it in, hit the button, it unlatches. I was like, great. Then I go to close the trunk, and it wouldn't latch. I had to fiddle around with the
adjuster,
the latch on the inside the car. I had to play with right and left a little, and up and down just a little bit. And luckily, I did find that with the deck lid closed, the key does now still work manually.
Oh, that's good.
Now I can't get locked out of my trunk anymore.
Nice.
Well, I was just hoping that you would use, the good old bullet for the fuse.
Oh,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Just stick it in there. I mean, that's the way to do it, Ray.
Right.
Don't be shy.
The audible fuse.
I'm gonna look in either in the car or in the owner's manual for one of the newer cars that has, like my wife's Cruise has a power trunk release, and I want to see what they fuse that at.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll just go with the same kind of fuse.
Hey guys, I gotta jump ship.
All right, Lewis. Sounds
All right,
good.
Lewis.
Hey, man.
I got a bad cold. I'm going to take some medicine.
All right.
Eat some garlic, raw garlic.
or lemon in hot water, or chicken soup. Chicken soup will do it.
Yeah.
The South Carolina hot dog. That's what you need.
I'm not even going to ask what that is.
Whistle
Huh?
stick.
Why? It's a hot dog with chili and coleslaw on it.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
It does.
I'd go
That's the
for
way
that.
to have them.
Yep.
Doesn't suck.
I always
All right,
go
guys.
with
I'll see you next
raw
week.
clove of
All right,
garlic.
Lewis.
Everybody be safe.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
See you. So
Carolina dog.
I did get, and I was playing around with Mr.
Oh,
King Bolin,
yeah.
which is really like a takeoff of a launch.
Yeah.
And I see, Kenny had he's using one of these too. They sent him one, and I can see how it's not the fastest scanner in the world. It's not the fastest interface when you want to go between screens and like I'm trying to hit something. I want to hit it again. I'm like, oh no, it's just waiting, which is a little annoying. But all the stuff is in there, and I don't know what it is. Have you found this? I have so much trouble with Toyota ALDL connectors. On my FJ and on my daughter's RAV4, it's usually easy to plug the scanner in, but I can never get it to come out. It's like you got to fly it. This one didn't even want to go in, and I it didn't even want to on the FJ. It didn't even want to go in. So that's 2 Toyotas in the house, and I had trouble. Again, removing the scanner. I put it on the Cruise. It went in and out, no problem. But the Toyota is always a problem.
Huh.
I don't know why. So just saying.
I'll have to see on mine because Brianna's Camry. I'll have to look at that and see. I've never had to scan hers. I've only had to scan Molly's Volkswagen. I did Emma's Hyundai.
Right.
Or Sonata.
Let's see if I got a book here.
Yeah.
I have one of those. I think it's a Nova scanners. The one.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I got it from O'Reilly. Well, I think I got it back when it was Checker Auto Parts.
Yeah.
But yeah, my daughter has a Toyota 4Runner. I haven't had any problems putting it in or taking it out or running it.
You know what? I heard you. I have an Innova also, and the Innova too. Any scanner I've used on the Toyotas has been hard.
Really?
Do you on your on the was that you said a RAV4?
My daughter's is a RAV4. Yeah.
Yeah, the RAV4 or the FJ. Does that have the separate little diagnostic plug on the side of the fender up on under the hood?
I don't know. I know the one you're talking about. I've never had reason to look in either vehicle.
Uh-huh. Because that's when you use your OBD1 connectors into.
An OBD1.
Yeah, OBD1. It's like usually gets into well, it depends, but some of the not fact that has factory diagnostics, not OBD2 global or standard.
It's that ISO, was it 6119 or something?
Yeah, something like that. Because I've ran into that problem. I've had guys ask me that they actually had to use that plug to get into, and I've had to get into the OBD1 kit and pull the plug out so they can adapt it over.
Oh.
It's kind of like the Volvos and the BMWs with the 31 pin connectors.
Oh yeah.
The big round one up on top. The douche. What is that?
Deutsch.
Deutsch, Denmark, or whatever they call it.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find a power trunk.
What are you looking at on your Cruise?
No, first I picked up my my Impala SS manual.
Oh,
That's the first one and the Cruise is right under it.
They'll probably say something like 35.
Wow.
I'm just joking.
I'll have to check my car. Mine's got a power trunk.
I'm thinking it's a 10. It's a 10 or a 15.
Yeah,
at least I think that's what it is on the Honda.
Let's see, remote control door lock receiver.
Then again, I might be 100% wrong. It might be a cable in the Honda. It's a 95.
I don't know, man. The 80 Lincoln has power trunk.
This isn't giving me the this is telling me the placement, not the value.
Do they have
tells me the fuse number and what it's for.
Okay, but do they actually there should be a diagram of the fuse box layout?
Well, yeah, they give me a fuse chart right there.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
But what that is it's the fuse. Yeah, it's the fuse number. Like here, they're saying 7 and 8 are not used. Sure think 7 says SEO, 8 says wiper, but even so, there's no values on here.
Huh. Do they have a section there that just says fuses, and then they have a list of fuse with the amperage?
Oh, I don't know. That's I went. I looked in the. I looked under fuses. I went to the index first, and it says fuses and circuit breakers, and that's the only fuse and circuit breaker. Now I'm actually on the specification: replacement bulbs and capacities. Let's see. Nope. All right, so let's try the Cruise. Let's try the Cruise for a fuse.
Hey, while you're looking that up, I've got a new NEW story.
Oh, what do you got?
As to what does new stand for?
Yeah.
Well, so last year when I first came on, I was having trouble with the Honda, and then I changed the computer.
Yeah.
And I ordered it from a parts store online and plugged it in. It seemed to have fixed the problem. I haven't had that problem of it stalling just out of the blue and only in the morning. And but then every once in a while especially after it rained, I'd get a code 9, which is the distributor, in a misfire. And then as the vehicle warmed up or it got hot outside, it still seemed to run a little rough, but there was no code and it ran better. And about 2 weeks ago, and of all things on a game day, I'm running out to the car, jumping in, and it cranks, but it won't start. So luckily my daughter was home and didn't have any classes or anything to go to. And I ran in and told her, hey, I'm having trouble with the car. I'm taking your truck. Anyways, the next morning I had the day off. So I go to mess with it. And I'm like, well, I need to check for fuel or spark, see which one it is. And I spray a little starting fluid in it. It fires up. And then, okay, so I'm going to start unplugging and plugging things. First, I'm going to go with, I still have the old computer and see if it fires right up. But I got a phone call and got distracted, and I came back out, forgot that I had already tested it with the starting fluid. So I did it again. It struggled, but it fired up, and then it stayed running. And I'm like, son of a, I need it to act up so I can isolate computer or not. I think it's the computer.
That's what happens when it's
So what I ended up doing, I went on a couple forums just to see what other Honda people had, anything lining up with that code and computer, or after changing a computer. And luckily I found one guy that had a post, and he was talking about, and he had pictures showing which two capacitors on the circuit board. And he said they look fine, but once you pull them out, you'll see the bottom. They started to leak and they started to pop. Yeah. So I sat there and going, okay, well, do I want to mess with new anymore, or what do I want to do? I went to the junkyard, and they had a couple Hondas that had come in the last couple months. And I found one that had because mine's a non-VTEC.
Yeah.
And I found one, it was with an automatic transmission. Mine's a stick, but was a non-VTEC motor. And I said, I'm going to take my chances with this. But when I was leaving, and the guy, when I went to pay him, he was asking me what the problem was. And I told him, and he gave me the number of a place in town that this lady that she works with a guy, and they're trying to start a business where they take the computers, and he's got the different tools to isolate and diagnose, and if need be, reflash the computers. And then he gave me a couple other leads, and he said, hey, if you still want to try it. If that don't work, give these people a call. Anyways, the junkyard computer, it worked, and it ran better than even when we first got the car. Now, mind you, we got it used, of course, and we got it a couple years ago, but I mean, I've never seen the car run so well. And I'm like, all I could think of is, I could hear your voice, Ray. What does news stand for?
I even played the clip for Kenny, because he didn't know what it was. Yeah. I told him, now you'll be able to say it too. So I even went to my Haynes manual, and they just said, what I had to do is I had to go to the schematic page. And I looked at the schematic for the power trunk opener, 10 amp.
Okay.
They want you to go look at the vehicle, I guess, and just look at the door. So, like I said, I put a 7.5 in. We'll see how. I mean, I don't even know how much I'll use the damn thing.
Yeah.
It cost me $169. But.
Well, that's cheaper than like we talked a week or two ago. That's cheaper than getting a midget, carrying them around, having to feed them, and then run them back there.
Very true. Very true. And now I got another option on my car. Look at that.
Getting fancy.
Yeah.
Now it's a resto mod.
Well, it was always
fuel injection.
It was always a resto mod. As soon as I built it, was a resto mod.
Yeah.
I mean, I would contend that back in the 70s, it was a resto mod because I was already I put a Chevy engine in it back then. So, changing things around right from the get-go.
Yeah.
I'm not one to leave stuff stock for too long. So,
Ray,
yes.
guess what I got invoiced for?
What did you get invoiced for?
My black nickeled ratchets.
Oh, nice. Did Kenny reach out to you yet for a
No.
guys, I showed Kenny, I brought in my custom ratchet to Brian, maybe the long 1/4 inch with the 3/8 head. He flipped. I thought he was gonna like stick it in his pocket.
I had to keep an eye on him. I thought he was going to try to pocket that thing.
He was really, really impressed. He was
It
like,
was funny.
wow.
It was funny because we have I'll have to bring it in next week. But we have a super small flex head ratchet, and it's 1/4 inch drive, but it's 88 tooth, and I put the 3/8 head in it, so it's like a little palm, like a little. And I have it hanging up, and I had a guy come out on a truck, and he's like, I was giving him a hard time. I said, "Come on out to the truck. You haven't been out in the truck. Oh, you never have anything I need. I got everything." Blah, blah, blah. He went round and round and round, and he walked up, and I could see it out of his eyes. He didn't want to get excited, but he's like, "So, what's that up there?" And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "That ratchet." And I said, "Oh." I said, "You can't have that." And he goes, I can't have that. Why? I said, "That's custom made, and you got to be one of the elite to have that." And he's looking at the part number. He's pretty. I mean, he knew the part. He's like, this part number starts with an A. That should be like 1/4 inch drive. Why does it have a 3? I said, because it's custom made. You ain't gonna find that anyplace.
Well, I'll show you. And this was something that I mean, that stuff is kind of new to all of us because we didn't see it. But I realized I did see it because back in like 88, 89, I was working. My friend, the guy I told you was at the tire shop. I told you he had okay to use the shop at night. There were customers that came in that, people he serviced, friends, family, whatever. So the boss told him, "Listen, you can come in, you can stay at night. Do what you're gonna do. Just if you use anything from our inventory, which would be like shocks, brakes, or tires, pay me, or batteries. Just pay me. Anything else, if you're bringing parts in, do whatever you want." So I started hanging out, and I always had something to work on. I had people's cars that I worked on too that they kind of bring them down here. Yeah, so we would line up sometimes 15 cars a night and just like bang them out one after the other. And we were doing struts before we didn't even have a strut compressor. We just had the regular the clamp type that you had to use an impact gun on. We would each take a side of the car. We would each have our strut out within like 20 to 25 minutes, depending on how tough the car was. Then the two of us would get on it and compress the spring, change the cartridge, do that twice. Then we both go and put our other sides in. Within an hour, the car was back together, and then he would do an alignment. So we were cranking stuff. So he shows up with one of these. Present. And that little ratchet on the right.
Yeah.
Is a Mac. And I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. I'm going to say it's only maybe 4 inches long.
Yeah.
Let me see if this will advance. That'd be good if it does, because that'd be, let's see. Okay. So this is a spark plug ratchet in the middle, which is kind of long. I guess that's about
12 inches.
12 inches. So you can see that. And this is my Snap-on. This was the first fine tooth ratchet I ever got. And I got that back in the late 80s, early 90s, maybe. I was just talking to someone about that. I said, now everybody is, 82, 88, 100, 120 teeth. This thing is, I don't know how many, I didn't count it, but it is fine tooth. That's the only ratchet I used daily.
Yeah.
For so many years, because it was, it just did what I wanted to do. But this little Mac here on the bottom was like, and it's got a 3/8 head. It's a 1/4 inch drive ratchet, and there it is. It's got a 3/8 head in it.
Yeah.
And I said, man, man ain't coming, but he made a cool ratchet.
Well,
once.
Ours showed up today.
Did he?
Yeah.
Cool. Wow.
Is this the same Mac driver that got lost for the last 5 months?
No. Nope. That's the Snap-on and the Matco guy that are not showed up.
Reversed.
One of the guys says
the Mac RBRT stuff really has me curious. Clay Kuhn talks about that stuff all the time. Those RBRT bits, they say they'll take out anything, and very interesting looking. But I don't know. Have you bought anything from him, Justin, or you just
a couple things? I just actually picked up a tap socket set.
A cap socket set? Those are those the shallow ones?
Yeah, they got the for our tap and die stuff.
Oh, tap sockets. Okay.
Yeah,
I
little
bought
set of.
I bought them from like probably the place that sells them to Mac. Those are great. Those are really good to have in a lot of instances. Yeah, come in real handy.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, a couple things from him.
Right. Good. You guys are bringing some new cars. You got some cool stuff happening up there, huh?
Yeah, quite a bit. We're getting a few of them out, getting some new ones in. So
you're always getting cool stuff up there. I tell you.
Quite a bit.
Very nice. Now it's what does the tool man have in his hands?
Okay, well the funny part, that guy watches what's his name?
Which guy are we talking about?
The guy that came out to the truck today with the ratchet.
Oh yeah.
And he had some what's that, Koken,
yeah.
The Koken one. And of course they have the 3/8, the 1/4 inch with the 3/8 and all that stuff. Of course, I'll have to go next week, or I'll send you a picture, or I'll have it how small it is, and he was all freaked out about that. Well, here is we did this, and this one is from the 70s, and it's a double pawled Matco, and it's 4 inches.
Craftsman went to a design just like that on their handles in the 90s, maybe, or early 2000s. Because I have a 1/2-inch drive Craftsman ratchet. I got it out of a repoed car, and it had that real nice kind of a sexy handle. It was a curved handle, highly polished chrome,
and
very smooth. Very not like the other Craftsmans that always had that the knurled dent stuff on it.
And the funny thing is, I stumbled across a guy that had been in longer than me, and he was getting out, and he had a couple rebuild kits. And I finally was able to this was like one of my first ratchets that I had gotten.
Nice.
And I had destroyed. And he had the rebuild kit.
That was one of the things. I know Clay did this a while ago. He was at one of the tool shows, and Koken had like the much larger scale, like the sockets that are, 3 feet tall, but they had a ratchet that was big, and they showed how they used 2 pawls inside to get that 120 tooth to get actual coverage so it won't slip. And they were saying that was their exclusive design, and all the other companies have 1 pawl, and there's only like 80% contact. And I personally have never had one slip. I did have a set of Mac ratchets. I got them back in the 2000s. It was a 1/4, 3/8, and 1/2. I used the 3/8 all the time, and I liked it. It was a very nice ratchet, except when I was taking my car apart, I guess I didn't read the instructions, and I had that ratchet with the socket through the chassis and my big impact gun on the other side, and I was and I felt my hand slip, and I thought that the nut broke loose. No, the ratchet blew apart.
Yeah.
I should have never used it with the impact gun on the other side, but
It might be in my other toolbox, but we had a demo piece. It was it was for a 1/2 inch, and it's probably about the size of that, like this.
yeah.
But it had the cutout and it has a piece of glass over it. So you put the ratchet all together and you can see it all working inside.
Right.
And I was stupid. They had a 3/8 of that. Maybe it was the 1/2 inch, but it's got, it has the side of it has like the ridges in it, just like this. And I was buying that demo piece and selling it because guys wanted it for like a finger rat, type thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that's like a demo piece. That's not supposed to be, but
You know what I did just use yesterday, Brian? I had when I took my I have 3 different little die grinders. I have a straight, a 90. I have one that's a 45. So when I was using the one, I actually used 2 of them. One of them had a like a milling end on it, and the other one I had a stone on it. So I used them both, and then when I'm looking, I'm like, hey, you know what? These tools have that little oiling pin on it. I'm like,
oh yeah,
I have an oiler. So I went and took it out of my my thing, and I oiled up those. I'm like, hey, I greased them actually. I didn't oil them, greased them.
Yeah.
I'm like, now I feel smart. I actually have something I could use, and I know where it is, so I can go get it and use it.
This ratchet was one of my favorites, and I used it was from Vim, quarter inch.
That handle. Oh, see, okay.
But see, this one here would fold.
It's like a T handle.
And then this would rotate. It has a lock here.
Right.
And then you unlock it and you can rotate the head.
See, I was never a big fan of too much Gigor stuff on a ratchet. And I don't know if I used it, maybe I would really like it, but
there was, like I said, doing interior. I mean, like I said, if you wanted to, straight down.
You know what I have? I got it from Snap-on, and it's a palm driver. It's triangular, just with a 3/8 nub on the end. So you put a socket on it. So you just, and you can put an extension on it, obviously too. And it's reversible. And then I use that thing. I use it quite a lot.
The only thing that drove me crazy about this was that you had to push the center down to unlock it.
See.
And that drove me crazy. That's I did all the other stuff, and you'd think that would bother, but man, because I would go to try to pull or try to, it's like you're fighting. You got to remember to get to push it in.
I'll tell you what really burns my biscuits.
Burn your biscuits.
When I started at the shop, the first thing I did when I knew there was a Snap-on guy was I started upgrading all of my ratchets because I had all original.
And you got the one with the stupid button.
Well, yeah, I do have a locking flex head with that. I don't mind that. I know a lot of people complain about that. I don't find that to be a big problem, but because all my ratchets except that one with the round head were the original 20-tooth ratchets. I don't know, so I said, good, let's upgrade to the fine tooth, and I swear to God, you put a socket on those things, and I got to take a little screwdriver and pry the freaking socket off. You can't get them off, and it drives me nuts. Now, I did buy a 1/4 inch from it. I think I traded one in. So it's the same as the one that I got from you a couple of years ago, Brian. You made me the 1/4 inch with the 3/8 head, and it's a locking flex head. It's like maybe a 4 inch,
6 inch,
6 inch. So I have the same size ratchet, a 6 inch in a 1/4 inch. Locking flex head from Snap-on, but it has a socket release, and I love it because the socket drops right off. But then I use the other ratchets, and I never know which one I'm using. I always forget. I'm like, son of a bitch! Like, I want to trade all these in, and I think it was one of Clay's videos where he said that you do give up strength when you have the button. And I don't know why. Because it's going through the center of I don't even know how it actually makes it. It must release that ball.
Yeah, see, like that right there, right?
Yeah, that's the grease thing. Yeah. And I
And
realize
this-
if I get a spare thing of grease.
I wish I had more of these. These are virtually impossible to find. The gold 3/8.
Oh wow, was that like promotional?
Yeah, that was our 40th anniversary.
Yeah. I come across every once in a while, like on the internet, guys will be selling. My friend Barry, his shop in the front office of his shop, he actually bought a bakery case from a diner with the
Uh-huh.
big domed glass, and he just started putting all of his commemorative tools in there, like the gold socket sets and all, So it's
Yeah.
like, and I've seen guys start to sell that stuff off because after a while, I guess they're figuring, I never used it. I'm not made to be used, but
I think one of the ratchets you got from me is a 40th anniversary head.
the black one,
It has the 40th
black one.
written.
the black ratchet, yes.
Yeah.
And you know what? Now I have the same size. I bought it used off the Snap-on truck. It's the same size Snap-on ratchet. It has a flex head, but not a locking flex head. So I don't like it already. I like a locking flex head.
Uh-huh.
And I see those two ratchets sitting there. The Matco's sitting right next to it. And I always go for the Snap-on. And it's for one reason only. Even though because I hate that it isn't a locking flex head, I don't want to damage that ratchet. It's pretty. I don't want to screw it up, but it's like, well, that's stupid.
Yeah.
It's just too nice looking. And that's why I'm afraid. Like, if I see that black chrome, I got a feeling I'm gonna go just.
Yeah, I can't wait to when I get the nickel and the
Yeah.
black nickel to see.
I mean, from what I saw when Macroman Michael, when he did his Macro Michael, when he debuted it, you can kind of see on camera that it's kind of translucent. I kind of got the gist of it, but
Yeah.
I got to figure. And he said that doesn't get damaged because he said some of his customers had trouble. Well, one guy actually did use the black ratchet and used it every day, and it did show wear.
Oh yeah, I got guys. Some guys don't care, and then I have other guys that it's just the end of the world.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
me.
huh?
That's me.
Oh,
It's pretty. It's a beautiful looking ratchet. It really is, especially with the 40 on the head. It's like that's a nice tool.
Yeah.
So I grabbed the Snap-on that I don't even like.
You don't want.
Yeah, I don't like. What about you, Justin? You locking flex head, non-locking flex head?
Yeah, I've got one 3/8 that's a non-locking. I think it's a Craftsman older one, and yeah, I just don't care for it.
Yeah. I've had them where they move on you. It's always at the worst time. It's like,
Yeah, I've used them non-locking,
I've
and I've had that experience where they move on you at the wrong time.
I mean, I have a
Right.
half-inch Craftsman. It's an older ratchet, and it's tight, but I had some other ones, and they seem to loosen up a lot. I don't know. So,
And I just inherited another pass through. This is a 1/2 inch,
oh wow, it's long.
and see the head's removable.
Right. How long is
And you got, so then you have your socket,
Right.
and the socket goes in place. And then it's got the place to pass
okay.
through on the stub.
That's a special socket too, no?
This right here is just this is a 1 1/4 inch
But it's a special socket,
for the ratchet
right, for the ratchet.
because it has
It has
like
a spline
see
on it.
this would be for regular sockets,
Right.
and then if you need a pass through.
So,
Yeah.
how were those sockets sold? Like in a standard sizes?
It was sold in a blue tray, a metal tray.
That thing is long, man.
Yeah, this
No.
is 24 inches. 24
No.
inches of love.
Wow.
Now, is that from when you were a technician, or is that when you were first selling? Tools?
No, when I was a technician, I had a set of 1/4 inch and 3/8, and I had a few 1/2 inch.
Wasn't that like the Special Forces set? or
Special
something?
Forces, right? And they were a pass through, but unfortunately there's no parts available.
I know Craftsman did that too. They had a
Yeah.
pass-through set.
So
I have-
and KD does it now, but the heads are different. They have a different cut, so
Yeah.
you can't use. It's a whole different setup. And so I had a guy. He's like, man, I can't remember how the whole thing started out. It was something about he wanted a set of metric sockets for his ratchet.
Wow.
And so the new guy called me and said, hey, this guy wants a metric set. And I said, they don't make them anymore.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what am I supposed to do with all this? And I said, just tell him that you'll trade them for a set of metrics
Yeah.
and a new ratchet. And the guy was like, well, what am I supposed to do? And I said, no. Just say you'll trade them heads up, and then I'll send you the ratchet and sockets. You send me his stuff. And
Yeah.
I'll like I said, I'll eat the cost, because now I've finally completed all my standard and metric deeps. So
Yeah.
When did they stop making those?
right. I mean, it's been over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, because right when I got in, I bought let's see here. I bought an extra set. Hold on, let me see here.
I've got a pass-through set that's a Husky.
I mean, I can see where they'd come in handy
Mhm.
for that occasion, like if you had a tall stud, but not all the time.
No, and that's the thing. I don't use it all the time. I mean, there's times where I've not needed it, but I've needed a ratchet and it's there, so I've used it. But yes, there's been a handful of times I've been working on something. It's just in a location, or it's got, like you said, a long stud, and it's coming very handy.
Yeah.
But it's not something in fact, I don't even think I've had it out for probably 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
Because right when I got in, these were being discontinued. I bought a brand new 3/8 ratchet
Uh-huh.
and a set of, at the time, I didn't really need them, but I've never used them. But this is how they came, in a little metal. And
Right.
this is a set of,
I love it with that hanging.
yeah, that hangs on the drawer.
I have a set of Allen drivers like that.
But that's a set of 3/8 standard.
right.
Okay.
We back in the day, we only had two colors, blue and red. And like you said, if you look on, see how the magnetic holders,
Yeah.
red would be standard and blue would be metric.
Right.
And so they were. So I bought up. I have an air ratchet the same way. I have an air ratchet with the pass through. So every once in a while you see them come across on eBay, and I'll try to snag up for pieces and parts.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the little hanger thing was really nice, because I don't know if it'll show. Because like on the drawer,
Yeah.
it would hang on the inside.
Well, yeah, like I said, I have the same thing in my toolbox that has a set of Allen drivers, but I have a set of Matco sockets. It's double. They're short impacts.
Uh-huh.
I think they go from 7/16 up to about an inch. So it's 2 rows side by side, and there's 2 handles that come up you can hold them by, or there's a rail to hang it on the end of the toolbox. And it's I thought it was the most most versatile thing in the world. It was really cool.
Back in the day, on our toolboxes, on the top drawer, because it was so long, they had a metal divider that went through the center of it to hold, for weight.
Right.
And that's what you were supposed to hang your sockets on, that inside the box.
Right.
That would hang on there and so forth. But yeah, I like. And it was funny, you know how Kenny was talking about his old ratchet wrenches.
Yeah.
And you know, we got the old you know, the ones that have like
3 teeth.
13 teeth in it.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mine aren't here, but pretend I'm doing the same thing.
this one's actually a TRW.
Yeah, I have a set. I've got these are Macos, but I have a set of Sears. Not even Craftsman. I have a set of Sears ones.
I'll have to see what mine are. Something
you
China,
look at
probably.
You look at the way these things are built. They're like plied metal. I mean, you couldn't break or hurt this.
No.
You know, if you set a bomb off on it. But I actually tried using one. I tried using. I said, let me just see for old time's sake. I know because Brian loves these things, and man, what a dinosaur!
Yeah,
yeah. Like I said, I got like 7 teeth.
Yeah, what a dinosaur!
Yeah, I have. Sounds like crickets.
Yeah. Very true.
I'll have to see tomorrow what mine are.
Yeah, I have a set of Sears, and this one. This one just says Taiwan. This one just says Taiwan. I got a lot of them. I use these. I still use them. I use the hell out of these.
My buddy Bill just told me he still has EJ Corvette's ratchet. I told him, hang on to it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It'll be a relic. It'll be worth something someday.
Well, see if I can find.
That's the thing. And what I realized after the fact that I could have elaborated on was, you know, just what I said when I started watching this guy, Kenny, Wrenching with Kenny is his channel. And the first thing I noticed was I listened to the way he described the problem and then how he went about diagnosing or tearing into it. And then the next thing I saw was the tools he used, and he was using top line tools. So I said, okay. But the other thing I noticed was it was like his body language. I've watched guys on YouTube that look like they were, I don't know, like afraid to work on the car, almost like hanging. I don't know. When you know what you're doing, you know, even if you're not in a shop setting with all your shop accoutrements, in your home with a floor jack and a jack stand, you can just tell when a person knows what they're doing. And that's what impressed me, was like, he knows what he's doing. He's done this before. And that was enough of a metric for me to keep watching.
Yeah.
So
he was pretty good. Like the one that you sent, what he mentioned us in there, but because he was like, we're going to do this right here, and we're going to do it with a floor jack and regular tool. I mean, nothing fancy. He goes, so that show that you could do this too, you know?
Well, that's why, yeah, like now at his house, he doesn't have his main toolboxes at the shop he works at, and he had nothing at home. So he had to start going to Harbor Freight, and he bought a roll card, and he bought, you know, some stuff. It was kind of funny because he was showing how he was doing brakes on his minivan, and he showed how when you put the rotor on, you want to put a lug nut on to try and hold the rotor just in place. But he says the trick is, you know, you get a nut that's bigger than the stud. You put the nut on first, then the lug, especially if it's an acorn lug nut, because it, you know, won't go on all the way. And I guess I picked up on it right away, because he addressed it a little later in the video when he was doing his after he put the caliper on. Now he had to tighten the slide bolts, and I'm saying to myself, you put the wrench that you used for the slide bolts. He used a wrench because he didn't have a big nut, and he put the acorn nut over that. And I'm like, you use the wrench that you need. And then he realized, like, oh yeah, look what I did. I need the wrench now.
Yeah, I thought that right when he did that. Yeah, I was like, isn't that the wrench that you just need? You know.
Now I'll tell you this: the thing I do disagree with is I do torque bracket bolts and slide bolts. I will torque them. I don't think it's a big inconvenience to do that. And I torque my lug nuts too. Again, I don't think it's a big inconvenience. I find some gratification in doing that. So, And there was something else that I thought. The other thing that I learned a long time ago is like when I see a lot of guys doing this too with the caliper on the car, they put a pry bar or a screwdriver. And he said, don't use a screwdriver for a pry bar in between the caliper, between the pad and the rotor, and they push it to retract the piston, so they don't have to do it with the caliper off the car.
Yeah.
But what I like to do is I like to take the caliper off, leave the inboard pad in, and I have my my tool, it's a Sears press, but I crack the bleeder screw, and when I send that piston in, I catch all that old brake fluid. That's all the fluid that's behind the puck, and there's a lot of fluid there. And then I close the bleeder valve again, and I do that on both sides, and then I go up and I suck all the fluid out of the master cylinder with a turkey baster and add fresh. You're changing a lot of fluid when you do that. So that's the other thing I took fault in. I don't think people change or flush fluid as often as they should.
Oh yeah.
In fact, probably never. And I'll do it just as like I just had the FJ in the shop last week. I was looking at. I thought I was going to just re-grease an axle boot, but I actually I'm going to change the axles because the boots are bad. So what did I? Took the cap off the master, sucked out the fluid, put in fresh fluid, done. And I do that like with my daughter's car, my wife's car, just a couple times a year even. So that's the thing. Even somebody who has good practices, you can always find things that you do differently, good, bad, or indifferent. I don't know, but just stuff I like to do.
Yeah, I changed the brake fluid.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
Did that on a 68 Impala we had at the shop.
Oh yeah.
Well, he had a handful of problems, so we might as well have done that too.
Did it look like coffee or mud?
Cappuccino, maybe.
Oh yeah. I've read so many articles on that, like, because I was curious, why does brake fluid get dirty if it's in a sealed system? Like, where's the dirt coming from? And what it is, it's the inside of the hoses that degrade, and it's actually copper that comes off of the lines and from the inside material. And because if you use the litmus paper tests, you can read the amount of copper that's in the fluid. And then of course, moisture is the big thing. The reason you change it is because it's hygroscopic and it absorbs moisture. But that's where the dirt comes from. It's the inside of the hose and the copper.
It's almost like an AC system where it's destroying itself from the inside out.
Exactly.
And people, so it's hard for people to understand that. It's so funny, like when a guy changes a receiver dryer and their orifice tube, and they pull out and they see these metal chunks or whatever, and they're like, well, where's this coming from? And I was like, dude, this system is so violent inside here. And what's going on from pressure and from changing from a liquid to a gas to a vapor, all this stuff's going on in here. It's literally destroying itself from the inside out.
Yeah.
And brake fluid's the same way. I mean,
I've told plenty of people about brake fluid changes, not even people I was doing work for, just friends and other people. And they'd say, well, why would I want to do that? It's going to cost a lot of money. So first of all, it doesn't cost a lot of money in a shop. I said, second of all, brake fluid is like, you can look at it like blood. First of all, it's as important as your blood in your body. But the real thing is, you should never see it outside of its vessel. And if you do, it's already too late.
Yeah.
And that's what happens if you have a brake failure, where you break a hose or something. I said, now, you should never see it on the ground. It's just not something that should ever leak.
Right.
And, I think I told you a story. It was a long time ago. It was probably 15 years ago. I took my wife's car to a local Sears to get tires at the time. And I'm sitting in the waiting room and I'm looking up at the menu board of the services, brake jobs, tire rotation. But the first thing on the board was brake flush. And I asked I went back, I asked the service writer, I said, hey, listen, I noticed the first thing on your leaderboard out there is a brake fluid flush. And you're asking only $25 for it. I said, you must sell the hell out of that. He's like, nope, we don't. I said, well, do you push it? He says, well, we try, but you can't get people to understand. I said, for $25, I said, obviously you and I know that once you have the wheels off the car, if you're using a power bleeder, you go drink a cup of coffee and it's done. I said, man, that's like the best service I've seen up there. That is phenomenal. And people don't buy it.
Yeah, they don't.
But I still say, and Motor Magazine backed me up on it. They had it a little different, though. I always thought that if you just took the fluid out of the master, you were taking about 80 to 85% of the fluid out of the system. Now, in an ABS system, it's probably less because you have the ABS pump, which does hold a lot of fluid. But if you look at how much fluid is held in the lines, what are you going to get, an ounce or two? I mean, a 3/16 line, how much fluid is in there?
Yeah.
So, okay, if you look at calipers behind the puck, there's a decent amount, maybe a couple ounces, maybe an ounce and a half or so. A wheel cylinder, maybe an ounce. So if you take, I never really measured it, but you got to have 4 or 5 ounces in most masters. You'd probably taking most of the fluid out. And then it's like the tide. It moves back and forth. Again, in a sealed system, why does it get dirty again? It does move back and forth, and it does kind of trade places. So that's why if you do it every 6 months, it's like doing a flush once a year. And all you're doing is just sucking it out and adding new.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I do it. I'm the same way. Almost anytime I'm underneath there, I always suck out and put in fluid. That's why it's always funny when somebody excuse me. That's why, of course, these guys, I nailed my Ford dealership for this. When the wife had a transmission issue, and I had talked to the transmission guy. I don't know if I've told you this, but it was a temp sensor. Had dropped the valve body down and put a temp sensor on it because it would go into limp mode. About 30 seconds down the road, it'd go into limp mode, and of course, then the truck wouldn't go over so fast and it was stuck in second gear or whatever, safety or whatever, it's limp mode. But I went in, and the service rider's there, and I said, that's my wife's excursion over there, blah, blah, blah. Is it okay? Is it just the temp sensor or what's the deal? And he goes, oh, let me see here. He goes, oh, let's see here. You need a brake flush, a coolant flush, this flush, that flush. I was like, whoa, buddy. What about the transmission? He goes, oh, I don't know. I haven't heard from Tom. And I said, so you want to sell me all this stuff? You want to even sell me a transmission flush, and we don't even know if the transmission has a problem. And he goes, oh, well, I was just, getting the work ready for when whatever the deal. I was like, look, dude, the snake oil salesman bit's not going to work with me,
Right.
Let's tell me what my problem is first, and let's go from there.
Yeah, go sell your crap to someone else.
So I go back, and Tom's there, and he was he goes, I said, Tom, what about the wife's truck? He goes, oh, it's all done. He goes, I dropped the pan, put a temp sensor in, and you're good to go. And
we did a complimentary brake flush and tire rotation too.
Yeah, he goes, no. And I was like, well, how's everything else? He goes, oh, it's fine, man. Just good. So I was like, called the old lady up, wife, hey, baby, come get your truck.
Yeah.
He's like, don't you want anything else done to it? No, I don't, I said, this is what you wonder why. I mean, he had power steering flush. He had every flush under the sun. It was crazy.
No one ever changes power steering fluid. Yeah. I actually put a power steering filter in my car.
Yeah.
And I found it. I don't remember how I saw it in Motor. I'm so pissed. When Motor used to put out their magazine.
Yeah. That was a great magazine.
Oh, man. I learned. I got so much out of that. And they showed, I think it was on a Nissan. It looks like a gas filter, like a metal gas filter. And it was a power steering filter. So I Went to the parts store, gave me the part number, bought it. It was like $8-9. And what I took was a coil bracket, and a regular round coil bracket held it perfectly. I put it on my frame rail, put a screw in there, and put it right in line with the power steering. And like,
Well, they don't talk about this, but a lot. I mean, almost every reservoir on the pump in the bottom has a screen, has a filter there. And we used to run into this problem, especially with the Audis. But back in the day on the German cars, they had that brown little canister that you poured the fluid in.
right.
Well, when you had something majorly go wrong, that bottom of that filter would get all clogged up, and you would have crazy stuff like, when it was cold and you turned the steering wheel and it would shoot fluid out the little little bleeder hole and all kinds of stuff. Well, that filter was clogged.
Right.
So it got to the point where you get a car with X amount of miles on it, you just go ahead and change that reservoir because it had a filter in it. You couldn't change the filter.
It's funny you say that, because when I was restoring my car, I put the engine in and all. I was putting the motor back together, and I realized, you know what? The power steering pump on this car has been on it since I've owned it.
You put an aftermarket one, had nothing but problems. You put the original one back on.
That's right.
I can't believe how many people I hear that from.
I went and I bought I saw in Motor Magazine that Dorman now had a line of reman GM power steering pumps. So I said, okay, it was $50. I bought it. I changed the pulley. I put it on, and I followed the procedure. With the wheels off the ground, I turned the wheel dry back and forth, and then started the car and did the bleed procedure. And I noticed it would skip. The wheel was skipping on me back and forth. And then, just like you said, when I turned the wheel, the fluid would squirt out of that little hole on top of the cap and go right over the fender. Yeah. I was like, what the hell is going on? Shut it off, unbolted it, dumped the fluid out, took the pulley off, went back to the parts. So I said, give me my $50 back. Oh, you want me to get you a new pump? No, I'm going to use the one that and today the pump is on the car that it came with in 1965.
Yeah,
still works.
Crazy.
Fine.
I can't tell you how many people. I had a buddy of mine that had like I don't know what it was, a 70 or a 72 pickup truck, F100 or whatever, pickup truck that he was doing.
Yeah.
And same thing. I'm going to put everything new on it. And I was like, dude, just keep what it's on there. I'm going to put everything new on it. And, he went through and everything that he put new on it, the power steering pump, the windshield wiper motor thing, the windshield wiper motor, everything that he replaced with a new part ended up in the trash can. He put the old one back on that's been on the truck for 45 years.
Yep.
It's crazy.
He's
like, man, this thing, I can't get this thing to work right. Or I said, dude, I told you.
There it is.
Yeah.
And down from the front, right in a coil bracket. From the side, we get the side view. And you don't even see it. Well, because everything's black, but yeah. And I think under there is a Nissan part number or something. But yeah, just that easy.
Yeah,
just that easy.
Yeah, that's it's like I said, it's just one of those things that power steering fluid. I would almost have to say I think it's even the most as brake fluid. Nobody does anything with brake fluid or power steering fluid.
Power steering never. I mean, brake fluid, maybe, but yeah, power steering never. I've sucked it out and changed it. Did the old suck out and change. But
on the Toyotas, there's at least on the 4Runner, if you start having problems with the steering, like it gets tough or whatever, that's the first recommendation is to empty it out and clean it out and put new.
Yeah. Then the next one is change the rack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope not.
Because the rack
yeah,
valve
it's-
is dead.
Yeah, it's there.
Well-
It's there down the line, but I hope we don't get to that part of the line.
Yeah.
Well, that's usually the problem. Once that happens, it's very rare, but usually, a lot of times though, we saw it with the German junk, that the valve on the rack would get stuck.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can play around with it and get it, but
So it ends up I'm going to buy a pair of axles for the FJ.
oh really?
Yeah, because the inner boots. I know that when I had it on the rack last year, it looked like just the clamp was missing because the boot was all there. It wasn't split. So I bought clamps and I bought the grease. And now last week I brought it into the shop on Saturday, threw it up, and I could see that the end of the boot, it did separate, and now it's on both sides.
Oh.
So I mean I could take it apart and change the boots. The CVs aren't making noise, but it's usually I mean I just learned years ago that it was just
Yeah, hopefully you can find them.
$200 for a pair.
Oh.
Now I looked at two places. I didn't look at Rock. I looked at 1A Auto
Uh-huh.
because I watched their videos and they're pretty good with what they do. And they sell you axle poppers with it. It looks
Wow.
like a 3-foot long shaft with a fork.
Yep.
And of course they do the videos there. They do videos at their place. And then of course they say we sell all the parts. But he didn't use an axle popper. He used a big pry bar.
Yeah.
He did it. So
The biggest thing with that, the axle popper, we had the same thing. And actually, it's kind of funny because it's only about 2 feet. Not even that. It's about 18 inches long.
oh, is that it? Wow, look
yeah.
longer.
And it's 2 pieces. One of them is a fork piece that's kind of bent. And then there's a block that's straight up. That's to make up the difference or space. But the whole thing and people say this isn't long enough, but they're really surprised on how easy it works.
Yeah.
Because when you slide that up in the axle and go to pop them out, it's putting even pressure on. Most guys, when they put that 4-foot pry bar on there and they crank on one side, they cock that axle inside the housing, and then they're fighting it from there on out.
And it's the clip. It's the C clip that gets stuck.
Right, and it gets cocked in there, and they're fighting that all the way.
Right. I want to say,
So if you use I used to use 2 pry bars and put them both on the side, and you jerk it one time and pop them out.
I don't know what company this is. Auto Parts, Toyota, FJ. I know I looked at 2 places. TRQ. Yeah, so it's like $200 for 2 axles. So
when I did the when I changed the clutch on the Honda a year ago, or a little over a year ago, I got the boots, the grease, and everything, and cleaned out and redid the one side. And then I was like, God, this is such a pain in the ass. And I went and looked up how much it was, and I was like, Jesus, it's like the price I paid for the kit to do the boot and the grease and everything was like half the price of an axle. And I'm like,
that's why I started buying axles years ago. I even went, in the beginning, I used to take the axle out, take the boot off, clean the CV, grease it, put the axle on with the strap, and then they came out with the quick boots in the 80s.
Yeah.
But the quick boots was like a masochistic torture device because the boot was split.
Yeah.
And when you put it together, you had to use these little, not even 632, it was like 440 screws and nuts. Your hands are full of grease, and you got to use these little tiny screws and nuts. I was like, what idiot thought of this idea?
And then they had the one with the gun. They had the gun that had the claws that came out. They were like,
I never got to use that.
It looked like the dude from Predator. You know, the mouth on the Predator,
Yeah.
And you had air on it, and then you would take that and put the boot on there and hit it, and it would swell up and
Yep.
you slide it over. It was
That looked like
that was crazy. That was scary as hell because you're
never got
taking
to
this
use that.
rubber and stretching it.
Yeah, I never got to use one of those. I just at that point just started buying rebuilt axles. A lot of
Yeah.
times they're like $69 or whatever.
Well, when you look at the time that it takes, the frustration, the flipping around with the grease, getting everything back in place, getting everything tightened down, you just spent more money in time and your nerves than it is just to get another axle.
Yeah,
Now-
right.
Well,
right.
back in the day at the dealership, they used to hate me because they would want me to sell an axle
Sure.
and put it in. And of course, I always brought this up because we would have our monthly meetings, and the first word out of the service manager was, "Our hours are down. We need more hours." And of course, Brian can't keep his mouth shut. I would raise my hand and he would say, "What?" And I said, "Well, let me put it this way, boss. We get 2.5 hours to rebuild a CV joint. Or if we put an axle in, it's only, 30 time units. So this is why our hours are down, because you guys make the money on the front end because you're selling an axle for $500, and we're only making a 0.30, a half hour to put it in." Yeah. Now, when you flip the tank, you might have only been making $40 worth of parts, but you're making 2.5 hours at $120 an hour. There's our labor difference.
Right.
And they hated that because they would do the same thing. Control arms. I used to bang out the bushings and put new bushings in. They would want to sell a whole control arm.
Yeah.
And I would, you get 3 hours to do a control arm and then, an hour and a half alignment. And, but other than that, it was 30 time units, or actually 0.25 to do a control arm, and then you had the hour with the alignment. And I was like, so it was $15 in parts, but we were making 200 and whatever dollars, almost $300 in labor.
Yeah.
And you guys, I said, that's what, you can't have both.
They don't call it a dealership for nothing.
Now, come on.
You brought it up.
Yeah, but hey,
I was talking home repair. You're talking.
But that was the difference.
Yeah. No, I get it.
You could save. Like you said, you could save the time, or you could have the aggravate. Roll around in the ground.
I get it. Everybody's in the business to make money. Like even now, like the UAW with their strike, even though it's a little ridiculous, I think. I remember when my brother was at the Porsche dealership, and they would work on efficiency for the week, and so they knew like certain guys, like he was a big guy and had big arms, so he couldn't. There was like I think an exhaust manifold recall on an Audi that he just couldn't get in there. But his friend Lenny, who's a skinny Russian guy, he could get in there all day long. So my brother would give him the recalls he got for that, and then they would give him. So and even the service manager was cool. Like he knew, like they would come up and say, "Listen, we want to swap these." He's like, "Okay, fine." Like he was cool with it. So both of them would get, better efficiency ratings at the end of the week. And that dealership, what they did for morale purposes, which is a great idea at work, is they had a dartboard. And that's when it would have been kind of cool, like if I worked there, because I ended up becoming a ranked dart player. But the guys would get, I don't know how they figured it out, but however many points over 100 efficient they were, they would get X amount of darts to throw at this board. And the board had prizes on it. And I don't know if you could see the prizes or not, but sometimes it was cash. There might have been $200 in an envelope, or I remember my brother won it once. They gave him I don't know if it was a Porsche or an Audi, but it was a brand new car with the gas card that was preloaded for like I forget. They had a condo upstate somewhere, and they knew how far it was. They knew like how much gas you would need. So they preloaded the car with enough gas to get there and back and drive around for the weekend. And, he won it for the weekend. So here's a brand new car. We go up to the condo, hang out there. We, got the gas. And like, that was a great prize,
Yeah.
But if you had comebacks now, of course, it went the other way, because nobody likes to see those comebacks.
Well, the thing is there used to be like, I don't want to say attaboys, but there used to be like, first off, you go to work, you do your work because that's what you're supposed to do. But, back in the day, a lot of businesses would give you little bonuses or little something to kind of the carrot before the horse, so to speak. And then now we're in that everybody gets a trophy phase, and people don't even want to. They want a pat on the back because they rolled out of bed. Not,
it
doesn't matter that they came to work.
I always looked at it like
it.
I always looked at it like in the automotive field, like when I worked at the auto rebuilder. Hey, I got my starters or alternators, for free because I could rebuild them. And if I needed one for another car that I was working on, I'd get it for cost. Which was cool.
No.
And even now, like the shop I do out of now, like, okay, I get paid for the work I do, and I could make more somewhere else probably, but I got used to the shop when I need it. Like, I'll tell them on a Friday, hey, what's it look like today? Or I'll go down on a Thursday. Like, I'm coming in, I want to come in on Saturday. And I tell you, this last week, that's what I did. I went down there on Saturday, and the guy who runs the shop during the week, Ronnie, I told him that's what I wanted to do. And he sends me this picture Friday afternoon. He goes,
Empty.
That was the bay waiting for me, to come in. I'm like, beautiful. My toolbox. And I said, X. So they even cleaned it. And he even had the guys like sweep it out. I'm like, wow, that's above and beyond.
Is your old toolbox still there?
Oh yeah. That's a Craftsman box that I had at work. I had two boxes at the college. I had this big Craftsman box. It's actually one of the wider ones from the 80s with the gold trim on it.
Yep. I had that. I had one of those.
That's what I have at the shop with a
That was their Pro series.
Yeah, with a snap-on side hanger on it. And I have the other one, the Kennedy one, the 3-piece Kennedy. I have that in my shed. And I got the two snap-on boxes in the garage. And like I said, I'm going to measure the inside of the FJ because I'm going to come drive down to you and see if I can shove something in there and bring it back because I need more room. My wife says, yeah, where are you going to put it? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find a place.
I am out of room, man. Out of room for tools.
Yeah. It's terrible.
It really is crazy.
I got some potential good news.
What do you got?
Yep.
So over the summer, I've been looking for work, and then school starts. I got my coaching money coming in, but I'm still looking for some work so we can get caught up on like the solar bill and the different stuff like that, and then I can start putting money into the Chevelle and the Porsche. Anyways, I've had a couple different opportunities that just they only went so far, they fell through. My athletic director has known that I've been looking, and he mentioned a few positions, and I at the school, and for certain reasons I said yeah to deal with, and I opened up to him and told him the full story. Anyways, he messaged me at the beginning of was it the beginning of this? It was beginning of this weekend to last week, and there's a position that came open that works perfect as far as keeping the kids in line, keeping an eye on my players, as well as possibly being able to recruit players from within. But I'm at the stage of setting up a test I have to go through. I'm just waiting to find out as far as slot time and stuff. And it's looking like like I'm the front runner for it. So
Nice.
Nice.
At your place, at your school?
It- Yeah. Yeah, that's the important thing too, is because also looking for work, I've had to be picky if I'm going to still coach. I've got to work it where I can still make it in time to get the team ready or be close by in the area. And anyways, it works out because it's at the school. So
your position now, is that a full-time position that you have now currently?
so with coaching, it's more of a contract position.
Okay.
So it's afternoon. It's more so it's paid on a stipend.
Right.
So the stipend covers so much for the season. I get paid week or bi-weekly on the regular payroll schedule, and it equates to basically part-time.
Right.
Now, when I first started working there, the pay stubs used to break down the hours and the hourly rate, and it came out to like $35 or $40 an hour, and I was like, "Whoa, how can I make this full time?"
Yeah.
Of course, that's what it would break down to, but it's on a stipend, and you're never going to get it at a 40-hour work week.
So, well, that's great for you. I mean, so that guy, he's not only a director, he's your athletic supporter, you could say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Good. We all need one of those.
No, he's been really good. I've had a couple athletic directors. I've had the first one that hired me. We were classmates in auto shop in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And he also refereed some of my games. So he was also coming and wanting to bring me on, coming from the knowledge of seeing how I worked with the kids already.
Yeah.
And then it opened up where each season or quarter, each sport, several of the sports needed a coach, and I happened to be there, and I said, yeah, I'll do it. Anything my heart's always been in it for the kids. And also that middle school is not the middle school I went to, but the high school that we feed. It's the high school my mother went to. It's the high school I went to.
Yeah, cool.
So, there's a lot of invested blood there,
legacy.
Legacy. And, but no, after the AD that I had that hired me, we had a couple others that were difference of opinions with it, not just with me, but there were differences of opinions, and it was a little rough at times. Different ways of viewing certain sports. The one I have right now is very supportive. I've got a good group of parents for the younger age, and actually one of my parents works at I think I can say this on air, but he works at the community college, the local community college. And last Friday we had the athletic director for the community college come and talk to the kids. And as he was talking to them, we were talking sports and we were talking education. And I brought up, I said, I understand. I know that you guys have a welding program there. I said, what else do you have in the trade? Do you have automotive shop? Do you have, thinking about all the stuff that we talk about, that the kids are not being taught the trades anymore.
Yeah.
And which was really exciting for a couple of the kids. And it was exciting for the athletic director that to bring up that question, thinking outside of the box, the traditional schooling.
Right.
In fact, I was able to bring up my experience that when I was 18, prior to being 18, when I was in auto shop, I wanted to go to Wyotech. And right when I was getting close to the end of high school, I started to think about moving away. And I shared this with the kids, and I was quite honest. I said, hey, I got homesick and I hadn't even left. I was down the street from home and I was already homesick. And I freaked out and chickened out. And I didn't go through the application process to go to Wyotech. And I said I could kick myself for it. I said, but to have this at the local community college, that's if you're like me, I said, some of you guys may be ready to fly the coop and go everywhere. And I said, and some of you might be a mama's boy like me, and you don't want to leave, or you're afraid to leave. I said, this is a perfect opportunity. you know.
Yeah,
So, and
it's true.
yeah, and we had our big game, our quote unquote bowl game, our game under the lights was on Tuesday, and we had one of the alums from the high school that played a little bit of professional football, played at Stanford. He came and gave a speech to the kids. So they, with our athletic directors and stuff and whatnot, and the district athletic director, there's a lot of things going in a positive direction.
That's
That
good.
it's exciting. It's
That's
exciting.
cool. I hope it all works
Yeah.
out in your favor. It's good.
Oh.
Very good.
And then, like I said, if I get in with this position, the big thing is I'll be there to keep an eye on the kids and help keep them motivated on the right path and be able to catch and two, some of the kids that are having difficulties, I might be able to recruit or at least be effective in working with getting those kids on the right path. Because ultimately, I mean, I love the sports, I love the coaching, but ultimately, I want to give back to that to my community, that's where I grew up, that's my area, you know. And I think it's important when you do something for the community that you live in. And you know, even like we've talked about the stuff on our show here, the different guests we've had that are working with the high school kids on learning how to work on cars or doing those different projects. The guys that did that in Missouri, and then they've even had something up in northern Arizona, you know, that's giving back to the community. It's giving back to the next generation. And, you know, and that's rewarding. You know, when you have those kids, when you see those kids succeed, when you have them come back to you and, hey, how are you doing? And I'm in college now, or I'm doing this now, or
Yeah.
Excellent.
Sometimes it's hard to get it through their heads, though.
Oh yeah, no, that I will tell you, there's some of the kids that I've had, it's been hard to get through their heads. It's frustrating. But then when you see that kid at the high school or just after they graduate and they say, Coach, I should have listened to you. You know what? I'm doing this now, or and it's something positive. And it's like, gosh, why couldn't you have gotten that when you were with me? We'd have had better times. But
yeah.
But you know what? When they get it, I mean, here, real quick, just to give you an example, one of the things when we do our warm-ups here in the Tucson area, we're surrounded by all the way around north, south, east, and west. Basically, we have mountain ranges, and I will tell them, you know, to the north is the Catalinas. There's also the Tortolitas. You got the Tucson Mountain Range, the Santa Ritas, and the Rincons. And I tell them, we're going to do this, face this mountain range, face that mountain range. And I'll stop them for a second and say, what happens if you have to call the police? You're in a oh shit situation, or you get kidnapped and you get free and you call for help. You need to know your directions. How do you know where does the sun come up? Where does it go down? How do you know your northwest, north, east, west, and south? And also, if you call and say, well, I'm looking at a mountain, but you can't tell them what mountain. And then I've told them, watch your surroundings constantly. Always watch. You'll know, you'll catch it if somebody's sneaking up on you. And then the other thing is, watch your street signs. Know your streets. And I said, I don't expect you to know every single street, but if you give me any major intersection within the city, I can find you. And I said, if you can learn that, and I've actually had a couple of the kids come up to me. I had a female, a former female student. She's going to the university. From time to time, I see her at the high school games because her brother plays. And she told me, she goes, Coach, I'm going to the U of A. She goes, you know what I never forgot? And I said, what's that? And she said, the directions. I watch my street signs. I know my mountain ranges, and I watch my surroundings, because sometimes school, you know, my classes get out late and I got to walk by myself through campus. And I always think about what you taught me, and that means the most.
You know, I always told my daughters when they started driving the same thing, because they'd call and say, Dad, look, I don't know how to, I'm kind of lost. I don't know how to get here or there. I'm like, okay, well, where are you? Well, yeah. I don't know. Like, well, what street are you in? What town are you in? What country are you in? You know, I always tell them, know a direction, know, just get an idea of northeast, south, or west. And I mean, Malloy told this to Reed, one of the first episodes, Adam 12. They're driving down a road, going to they get a call, and Reed says, "You want me to look that up?" So Malloy says, "Yeah, good idea." So Reed looks up on a map and he tells him, he goes, "No, I know where it is. I want you to look up so you know where it is."
Yeah.
And as they're driving, he says to him, "Okay, where are we now? What did we just pass?" And he's like, he says, "Always know the last street you passed, because if you're going to make a radio call quick, you can at least give someone your closest position." It's all the same stuff. It's universal knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's, my kids still don't really get they're still not as good as I'd like them to be, but they have gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Well, you can. It's a difference between us and them because of this.
True. Well, also, I remember many years ago, it was said, and I believe this. They did it was some show on TV where they did a test, and they gave like a group of men and women individually. They told them to go somewhere in the town, and they told them, they gave them directions, and they proved by doing it over and over that men find their way by a direction or by landmarks, and women go by, the hell did women go by? Shoe stores. I don't know. No, maybe men just went by direction and women go by landmark. It was what we do it totally different. We do it totally different. We're more directional based, more, I think like our GPS is a little better than the women's. They probably went by landmarks.
It's funny that you say that, Ray, because somebody will say something to me, and I say, "Well, tell my GPS," because that's the wife. And they look at me. I said, "That's," and they're like, "Well, you have your phone." I said, "No. That's my old school GPS because she knows. I mean, she can find any direction. No matter where we're at. She's really good at it."
Some women are much better than others. Mine, my wife is not. I mean, we could be in town and she like, "Where, huh? How'd you get here?" I'm like, I turned right and left, just like,
yeah. Jenny's really good. So I call her my old GPS system.
That's good. That's good. Cool.
The other thing I tell the kids too, I say, always remember, because we live in the desert, especially the time of year, but especially during the hotter months, if you break down in the middle of the desert, you find shade. You find shade. You make sure you have water. You find shade, and you stay out of the sun and in the shade and rest. When the sun goes down and it starts to cool off, I said, that's when you travel. But the other thing is you also look for the glow of the city lights.
Okay.
Because out here, it's now, like I said, I've been to Georgia and South Carolina, and it's very thick and green and lush and foresty. Here, it's very open. And so you can be like, say, if you're in between Tucson and Phoenix, you can be out in the middle of the desert, and you have Casa Grande that's in between both of us. You can see the light glow from Tucson. You can see the light glow from at least Casa Grande. And the closer you get to Casa Grande, you'll definitely see Phoenix. And you can be out in the middle of the desert. You can find the civilization by the glow of the city lights.
It's good to know. Me, I just look for the next traffic light.
Yeah. Well, I told them.
Look, another pizzeria. Okay.
I told them, I say, now, hey, this is when you're out in the middle of the desert, out dead center in the desert. Right. Yeah, otherwise, you got the freeway. Just follow the freeway.
Yeah.
Don't walk on it. But follow it.
Right. Exactly. Well, I think I'm going to follow my GPS upstairs and take out the garbage and nosh on some cold cuts or something.
Yeah, I got a couple boxes out front. I got to load up the tool truck.
Nice.
Yeah, I think my wife got goulash tonight.
Ah,
there you go.
Nice.
Oh,